But I think we're helping them out in a way that will hopefully lower any sort of danger that ends up coming out of this. They're in a good position. They've got places to go. They've got higher ground nearby. They've got escape routes. They've got this. They've got that. We should be good to go here for our storm chasers that are preparing to intercept massive Hurricane Ian as it makes landfall here. We're getting some pictures in. Wow. Wow, this is Fort Myers Beach. This is just from storm surge, y'all.
Look at that storm surge, man.
That house looks like it's about halfway underwater. The water is still rising in Fort Myers, unfortunately.
Thank you. Welcome back, man. Welcome back, guys, man. My live stream went dead when I went on the phone, man.
Something that we've been talking about for hours leading up to this event. So hopefully everybody that was in an area that could be impacted to that level, hopefully those guys are, have left, and they're not in those houses and needing to, like...
Shut up. I'm back, guys, man. I'm back. Thank you, guys, for coming back. Michael Hauser, thank you.
Let's see.
Stream Venus, we're here, brother. Thank you. I got information for you.
All Sarasota outpatient facilities are closed. It's another update from the Sarasota County government. So pretty much everything in Sarasota County is closed at this point. Everything is closed. Once again, including the Waffle House, which is a kind of fun play on how serious the situation that we are dealing with here. Some more pictures coming in from the Fort Myers and Naples area of the significant flooding that's happening.
I'm back, y'all. I'm back alive.
Hurricane comes ashore. It's unbelievable. It's how...
I was right at my 11 hours and 55 minutes anyway, man. This is going to be live again. I'm live. Please give me a thumbs up.
This thing is just...
Why the fuck did you keep doing that shit, man?
Onto the shore of Florida. Another interesting satellite view.
Thank y'all for the...
Here on Twitter, I'm seeing. You can really see the scope and size of this thing by looking at it this way. You can also see the depth of the inner eye wall there. It's a 155-mile-an-hour Category 4 hurricane with a minimum central pressure of 937. This thing is a monster, and it makes your gut wrench just viewing this chilling satellite view. That's from Chris on Twitter.
Shout out to the 6-7 people in chat, man. This is a live update. Florida Prophet Hunter is doing good. He's getting ready to go live. Florida Prophet Hunter is getting ready to go live. I just talked to him on the phone. He's good. Scratching matches is live right now. Scratching.
Before we start really talking to him,
I'm not doing talk about that, man. This is for y'all.
But I want to make sure that they are in the exact
Florida Prophet Hunter is okay.
Before we start doing that.
He's getting ready to go and do it live.
Here is a picture from somebody that's sent in from the southern...
Let me see if he's live right now, y'all.
Pine Island. So there's some of the latest, look at the storm surge that's coming in there. Even without the reconnaissance data, by the way, we've still got a hurricane reconnaissance mission underway. Some hurricane hunters are flying in.
He is live right now, y'all.
Information on what's going on. But even without that, on just radar imagery, you can see the intensification of the storm right at landfall. We can look at the reflectivity here. You can see that the eye is still very well intact, and we have a very strong core of the storm promoting the idea that this is not weakening. And then additionally, if we look at velocity, there's a lot of ways that we can kind of figure out what the wind speeds are just by looking at this. If you probe some of those velocity signatures, you will find that it's showing 170, 180, maybe even over 200 mile per hour winds. But it's important to know that those are coming from a little bit above the surface, okay? So that doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly how fast the winds are on the ground. But yeah, I definitely think that this hasn't weakened, and it possibly has increased in strength a little bit as we approach landfall here. Still seeing lots.
Hey Ryan, just wanted to give you a quick update from Chris and myself. Winds are definitely intensifying here in Port Charlotte. We have been seeing the occasional strike of lightning, one or two, and definite thunder. I just wanted to give you a quick update. Winds are definitely intensifying right over the top of us as the eyewall approaches.
All right, Brandon. Keep us updated. We're watching.
At the Quad Cell service, but
So that was Brandon Topic. Then come back over here. It looks like the trees continue to pile up here where Brett Adair is near Port Charlotte, and the winds are obviously getting a whole lot more intense there. So we're going to look at all these guys, and I'm going to reach out to Chris Hall. It's been a while since we've heard from him, but he's near Brandon, so we know he's safe. Hey Chris, just wanted to get an update from you. I know you're all right. You're near Brandon, but we haven't seen a live feed from you in a second. Is everything all right with your equipment and everything? So that's Chris Hall. We're going to keep him updated on everything, just in case. One of the things that I like to do with our storm chasers is not only have them help us by relaying information to us, but help them in situations where maybe they lose cell phone data and they can't look at radar or something like that. So anytime they need that, I encourage them to reach out to me, and we will help them out with that. But I haven't seen a feed from him in a second. Michael Robinson just sent this in. He says, we've even got you up on the big screen in the Best Buy in Indiana. Well, that's one way of making sure that we get the message out there far and wide. Indiana is not going to see the impacts from Hurricane Ian like we're seeing over here near Fort Myers. But Indiana will probably see some impacts from Hurricane Ian in the form of cloud cover, temperature changes, and rain. In fact, a lot of people all up and down the East Coast are going to feel Ian as it moves up the coast, and some worse than others. There's actually hurricane warnings on the eastern side of Florida, and there is a hurricane watch that goes all the way up the southeastern coast of Georgia and South Carolina. So it's important that we talk about that more as we go later into the day as well. Here's an update from one of the hurricane hunters, directly from one of the hurricane hunters, Nick Underwood. And this is from an earlier mission. This is a picture out of the cockpit, I'm assuming. He says, I've flown storms for the last 6 years. This flight into Hurricane Ian on Kermit was the worst I've ever been on. I've never seen so much lightning in an eye. This was the eye. You can see the curvature. Understand this is at night. This is the light from at night. Wow, that's crazy. So that's directly from Tropical Nick Underwood, which is one of the Hurricane Hunter pilots. We've been doing that for 6 years. It's the worst one he's been in.
Get your feedback.
Wow. Well, whoever is doing this, Chelsea, thank you so much for doing this and keeping up with this. Obviously, I'm not having time to shout everybody out, but she's taking screenshots of everybody's generosity here. And I promise at some point I'll go back and read these off and make sure everybody gets a shout out for the helping out with the channel and allowing us to continue to provide free weather coverage here on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. Captiva Island. Captiva Island. My bad. I know I'm butchering some of the names, y'all. It's been a while since we've heard from Brad Arnold. Hey Brad, just once again making the rounds, looking for an update. What are you seeing, what are you hearing, what are you thinking?
We do have power, we're good. We've got power. This is
some storm surge from Benita Springs.
right here.
Hey Ryan, we are still in Punta Gorda on the Charlotte Harbor. We're waiting on the storm surge to come in, man, and it, for whatever reason, the wind direction is still getting warm. I mean, it's almost neutral. It's not offshore or onshore. I guess we're in the process of the wind direction switching. But big time jump in wind velocity. We're probably seeing Category 1, maybe Category 2 winds right now. We're in the outside of we're in the outer eye wall, and it's only going to go downhill from here. I don't know if you guys can tell. I can zoom out on my live stream just a little bit. You can tell the difference in the cloud colors. You see the bright right there, and then you see the really dark. The dark is the actual eye wall that's going to have the 130 to 150 mile per hour winds. We're going to play around in it until we feel like it's not safe, and then we're going to get the heck out of here until the parking deck. Right now, we're okay.
All right, so that was an update from Storm Chaser Brad Arnold. And man, did you guys hear that eerie roar in the background during that update from him. Did you guys hear that? Or was that
Yeah,
just
it's
me?
probably sustained
You
about
could
30
literally
miles an
hear
hour.
the kind of distant roar of the winds there through the
These
microphone
people that
as
don't look at
Storm Chaser
anything,
Brad
I guess,
Arnold
the
gives
neighbor's
us a
house.
final update, I believe, before they really get into the
This is the side of the house.
thick of things. And I'm telling you, this has been the slowest moving hurricane I've ever seen. This is not good. The longer this thing stays over water and the longer the eyewall stays over these communities, the worse off it's going to be. But here is the deal. Brandon Topic, Brad Arnold, all of our storm chasers pretty much are right here. This is the eye wall that he was talking about. Okay? When they get under that, things are going to go south very fast. And that's what we're starting to see here through some of our storm chaser feeds right now. We're going to keep them up for you. And we're going to try our best to maintain connection with them. Brandon, just to confirm, Chris Hall's still with you, right? He's still behind you. I haven't got a feed from him, and I haven't heard from him in a little bit.
There's some dude in this bitch named Robin Johnson.
Chris Hall is right next to me. He's
That's my old neighbor.
I got that he's good.
Okay, all right. So Chris Hall's good, y'all. Chris Hall's good, and we'll get him back shortly, I'm sure. Let's see here. We got an update from Chris, by the way, that says that the bank that they're near, parts of the roof are coming off there in Port Charlotte. Winds are really starting to ramp up, and the storm surge is also starting to get a lot more intense, especially in places in and around Bonita. Let's see here. Yeah, Bonita Beach, Florida. Look at this. This guy's going out here and he's saving a cat. Obviously, that's important. We are glad this guy's a hero for doing that. But just look at how fast the water is coming in. There's a chance that if somebody attempts something like this, that's going to raise enough by the time it's time to come out to not be able to walk in. But anyways, this is a view from Bonita Beach, Florida, of a guy rescuing a cat as the storm surge comes in slowly but surely. You're going to see a similar view here in some of the harbor locations. Depending on the exact trajectory of the storm, obviously the wind direction change hasn't taken place yet, so we're not seeing that much storm surge in a lot of the areas near Port Charlotte. But I believe that that's going to change.
Thank you guys for the
unless
thumbs up,
storm
man.
just keeps
Appreciate it,
barreling
man.
east.
I just start my
But I
live
believe
over,
we're starting to see
man.
a little bit more of that northerly turn now as we watch that the radar imagery move forward. Lots of video and information coming in on Twitter, so I'm trying to filter through that. Figure out what I should, what we need to relay and what we don't. At this point, I think there's so many people watching. There's so much stuff coming in, it's hard to filter through myself. But I do appreciate you guys. I do appreciate you guys for all the help. We're doing this together. I should have, when I first made the channel, I called it Ryan Hall Y'all. Should just called it Y'all, because this is seriously the biggest coordination effort between a massive group of people as I've ever seen. I'm just at the head of it, compiling the information and then hopefully relaying it in a way that's easily understood. You guys are helping me out a lot here. Here is an update from Chris FL Tornado, who is with Reed Timmer, and this is the sunken Dominator 4, who's unfortunately halfway underwater, definitely unsalvageable at this point. And this is, I think, their only other vehicle that they have. Hopefully that one doesn't go as well, as they definitely going to be stranded if that continues to rise. Switch to the Tampa radar. Finally got it to load. Looks a little bit better here, and you can see much more clearly where the most intense parts of the storm are. And one of those really intense parts of the storm is getting ready to hit places.
Thank you guys, man, for coming back in, man. I had to start my live over. I was at my 11 hours and 55 minutes, so I had to start it over.
Not sure what's happening there, but
Fiona,
let me see.
how you doing, Fiona? I'm doing good.
Pull up the regular events browser source and instead of the one that we're using and see if it's any better.
Thank you, Fiona.
Winds are also
Appreciate
picking
it.
up pretty good where Bryce Shelton is. It looks like he's in front of a mall or something.
These are live updates, guys. I'm gonna keep
Looks
my
like he
live
was in
stream
front of
on
a
until
mall
I
or
go to
something.
work.
Looks like we're refreshing those feeds
I
now.
just
So
did
we'll
11
come
hours
back
and
to those
55-minute
in a
live
second.
stream earlier.
We'll
Profit
take a
Hunter
look
it is.
at, all of the different cameras that we're getting in from our storm chasers. And then, of course, I do want to kind of go over some of this imagery that we're getting in through Twitter as well. Here's another update from Nick Underwood, who's currently on another mission. This is the Hurricane Hunters. When I say this was the roughest flight of my career so far, I mean it. I have never seen the bumps come out like that. There was coffee everywhere. So there you go. That's from inside of the plane that goes into the hurricane's heads. Pretty nuts.
Yes,
Any-
Fiona,
you
thank
have
you.
any,
I'm safe, babe.
short
Don't worry.
updates for us?
We need to pray for the
About,
people in
what's going
Florida
on
right
there?
now.
About what's going on out there, no, Ryan, your best eyes are the storm chasers. I don't have any better updates than they do.
All right, thank you. So I'm just, guys, give me just a second here. I'm updating something on the back end, and
Wake up.
it's
What are you
requiring
looking at me like that
of
for?
a little bit more of my mind than I can do. I can't do that and talk at the same time, pretty much.
I'm happy
Okay,
to
thank
know.
you, Fiona.
Yeah, go ahead if you don't care.
Yeah, so people are asking if Chris Hall is your brother, and no, there is no relation between Ryan Hall and Chris Hall, but good observation. I'm Andy Hill, so I'm very close as well, but again, no relation. That's it. We need some lightheartedness, you know, in the midst of this, just so we can stay on top of this and not be too grim here while doing our best possible coverage for y'all. There have been a lot of great questions on Twitter, by the way. Thank you for all of those. I'm doing my best to respond to every single one of them that I possibly can. I appreciate you all. Some good questions are actually where the most intense winds are in the hurricane, like along in the eye wall. Where can you expect the most intense winds? And actually, in this case, in Hurricane Ian, the most intense winds will be on the eastern side and the northeastern side, predominantly, as you can expect winds at the surface to be a combination of the storm moving, so that's translational wind, and also rotating around the eye wall. So translational wind and rotational wind together mean that the winds actually travel faster on the east side as it moves north, and a little bit slower on the west side. So that's a great question I received on Twitter. Hopefully that helps visualize it a little bit better for those of you who can. Visualizing these things is actually pretty difficult. It's one of the hardest things to do when you're studying meteorology and you're in the midst of an event like this.
All right, thank you very much, Andy. Just got a whole lot of information coming in here, and it's hard to compile it all and relay it, but we're doing it. We're getting through it here, and here's some more updates coming out of Naples. It seems to be like from Fort Myers Point south to Naples. That seems to be the area that's getting the most the severe impact from the storm surge right now. I mean, this is significant flooding going on here in Naples. We've got an update here from the Naples Police Department that says the city of Naples has issued an emergency citywide curfew to protect and safeguard the health, safety, and welfare of the city of Naples. So that's going to go into effect immediately. The curfew is going to also be in effect until further notice. So I'm going to retweet that just in case anybody's in that area that wants to see that information a little bit more in detail. I got other updates for you too. I really want to kind of remind you, I want to throw this reminder out here periodically that we're not only watching the hurricane make landfall, Okay, we are also looking at a tornado situation up there in Central Florida, and last night we were live while several tornadoes touched down in and around the Delray Beach area, and this is some of the damage from that. So a lot of times, in a tropical system, we see tornadoes, but sometimes they're not very strong. Sometimes they're weak and brief. This was a strong tornado last night, and more images like this will be possible all the way up the peninsula of Florida as we go into the evening tonight. So I just want to make sure that is known as we go forward. Let's see what else we have. Another just really dramatic time lapse of the storm surge as it rose near Sanibel Island. I don't know. This was obviously up until just a few moments ago. I don't know if it started to recede. I don't know if it's still going up. But obviously,
I kept
we've
it plugged in. I
lost,
told you that.
a lot of the internet communications abilities that we usually use to get access to these things.
Told you I
So
keep them
it's
plugged in.
obviously, it looks like it's rising there, and then whenever this ends, it's who knows? Look at this. So the farther in we go, obviously the winds are taking down the camera. And the last couple of frames we're actually pointing down towards the water, and it looks like it's still rising. So that once again, a look from Sanibel Island, which is an area that's currently receiving some of the worst impacts as far as storm surge goes. So that, unfortunately, that's happening there. We're going to see similar scenes in Cape Coral, Fort Myers Beach, and then possibly even up there towards Punta Gorda and the South Punta Gorda Heights. So we're going to watch that closely. But still, this thing's moving incredibly slow, and that's going to continue to be the case down there for a while. Here is a composite radar imagery of the entire U.S. right now. And as Jared says here, it's very eerie. There's literally nothing going on across the states except for this massive hurricane down there in Florida, which you can see very clearly in our composite radar imagery. So that is one of the more interesting things that we've seen here from this hurricane, and of course another view of Hurricane Ian's surge in Naples, which we've seen a lot of videos like this, but I think it's important to show it because this is going farther inland than I think what a lot of people thought it would. You've got people's vehicles out there that are submerged in water. That tells me more than likely that they thought, oh, well, the water will probably stop over there where it normally does, and we're all right. But that's just not the case in a situation like this, y'all. Going back to look at some of our Storm Chaser feeds. Storm Chaser Brad Arnold riding the edge of that eye wall. It's getting ready to overtake his location. But he's still in, for the most part, an all right spot for not seeing too much in the way of damage, thankfully. Lots of trees down, though. A whole lot of trees down. Obviously, there have been gusts well in excess of 70, 80 miles an hour. But right now, it looks like the sustained winds, for the most part, are not incredibly high. Okay, let's see here. Frank, if you could switch it back, I'm sorry. I don't know what's up with the crop on that, but unless you can think you can fix it, we can just switch it back to the other one for Vince. All right, anyways, what we are looking at right now is a live view from Brad Arnold, who's in Punta Gorda. Literally just a couple miles to the south, we've got Vince Welty, who has a very different view of the situation because he's getting closer to that inner eye wall. And as soon as we get the cameras back up, I'll pull that up and show you. But just really crazy how much just a couple miles of difference is making here with these guys as far as the impacts that they're receiving. Here's a new QPF outlook for the next 7 days. You can see that the impact that Hurricane Ian's going to have on the entire East Coast is mostly going to impact these places in forms of rain. So everywhere in the red and orange could see more than 2 or 3 inches of rain over the next seven days. Obviously, there's some areas that are going to see much more than that, potentially more than 10 inches of rain in a very short period of time. It's not even going to take 7 days. And that's going to happen across a lot of the East Coast. And that's going to be the main impact that most people feel from this storm. It's going to be the rainfall. The winds aren't going to be as big of a deal once it gets up there to North Carolina, Virginia, and eventually up into the Northeast coast. Looks like Bryce Shelton once again is right in the thick of this. I'm going to take a quick second and play around with something. Andy, if you could take it for just 1 second. I've got to fix one of these cameras, but right because Vince is getting ready to take a direct hit from the eyewall here, and I want to make sure we can pull to that.
Yeah, I got you, Ryan. I have a good pertinent information. A lot of people have seen the satellite and seeing this big storm off the east coast of Florida. So a lot of people are asking me about that. That is a separate storm. That is just your regular garden variety thunderstorm that's associated with the outer bands of Ian that are curving around the hurricane. That is not a tropical storm. Its primary risk that it holds is just a lot of rainfall. So anyone who's concerned about that, it's not a separate hurricane or tropical storm. It is just a storm associated with all the rainfall that is circling around Ian. Getting a lot of questions about that. Hopefully that helps out. In addition to that, we've got a few questions that are, actually a lot of questions that can be answered if you visit the National Hurricane Center's website and see the track for Ian, the times expected, the intensity expected along each time step, and possibly if you're looking for storm surge forecasts, you're able to click on Ian and then view the storm surge forecast on the National Hurricane Center's website. So a lot of questions like that can be answered just by opening up a new tab with that and keeping us on in the background while you're looking at it. So hopefully that helps. Make sure you guys we wouldn't be able to do a lot of this without the assistance of the National Weather Service offices and the National Hurricane Center providing amazing forecasts with all of the resources available to them. So shout outs to them. Thank them for helping keep us safe and giving us the life-saving information we need so that we can relay it to you and hopefully relay it to many hundreds of thousands beyond you if you guys are doing good stuff and telling more people about the stream and all of the information that's coming out so that we can save lives.
Awesome, Andy. Thank you. I think we got everything worked out. Once again, Vince Welty in the path of getting a direct hit from this eye wall, and things are going to get really nasty here where he is. Once again, a little bit farther south than the other guys who are also getting ready to be inside of the eye wall, but just Vince is going to get it first here. So we'll see some of the deteriorating conditions through his camera before we see it through theirs. So let's get an update from him if we can. Obviously, it's probably getting loud in his vehicle, so we might not hear anything back, but let's send something. Hey, Vince, we're live. We're seeing conditions are rapidly deteriorating there. We're just looking for an update from you. What's going on? What's your plan? And then we'll wait for that to come back from him. And it looks like we got Chris Hall's feedback as well. So we can see that he's following behind there.
Actually, it's the opposite. They're getting better now. I'm sitting here at the fire department. It's sheltering me from the wind a little bit. And once it's passed, I don't really have a whole lot of storm surge concern here. This is like it's either county road or state road 765. A little bit higher in elevation. It's even been excluded from the storm surge map, so I'm not worried about that. But I'm just going to wait here and once that eye goes by, see if we can get into it or not. But I actually had to come south. I was farther south. I was probably about 7 or 8 miles south of Burnt Shore Marina, which is south of Punta Gorda on this road quite a ways. It was almost due east of Pine Island Center, and we had to abandon ship because it was pretty bad. So just going to wait here and see how things go and try to keep stuff from coming inside of the car that shouldn't be inside the car.
All right, sounds good. So that's an update from professional storm chaser Vince Welty. Another storm chaser that's out there that's really starting to get into the thick of things is Brett Adair, who's near Port Charlotte. Obviously, seeing a lot of debris on the road and stuff, but I can't. feel like the people who have been watching for a while probably don't believe me at this point that the eye wall is approaching these guys, because I've been saying that it's almost to them for hours now. I guess have been underestimating how slow this storm is going. It's creeping right up on them. The eye wall is almost there. I don't know how much longer it's going to take for it to get to them. But we unfortunately are going to see that the damage and some of the conditions here go even farther downhill than what we're seeing right now. And my goodness, look at that box truck. What in the world are they doing driving around? That is almost certainly going to get flipped over. I can bet money on that. So whoever's in there, my goodness, you need to park that thing soon, because an 80-mile-an-hour wind gust is all it's going to take. Especially when you're bobbing and weaving around the daggone tree limbs like that. I don't that's definitely not a storm chaser. I don't know what in the world's going on there. But hopefully those whoever's operating that vehicle understands the very dangerous situation that's getting ready to unfold as things get worse and worse here. We're looking
ATM
at
Tim, what's
major
going on,
flooding
bro?
at Diamond Head Beach Resort. Somebody said same day shipping. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think it's a delivery truck for mail or packages or something. But anyways,
new tornado warning.
Ashley Graham, we'll go over that tornado warning right here in a second, but Ashley Graham has pictures here of major flooding at Diamond Head Beach Resort at Fort Myers. And it's absolutely devastating. As you see, oh no, that's not good. That is definitely the most impactful and devastating picture I've seen so far. This is just, it looks like Fort Myers, at least so far, has seen the worst of this storm, as we now have multiple cars just floating through the city here. And this is at the Diamond Head Beach Resort, which is not necessarily in a place that would normally, obviously nobody normally sees this kind of storm surge, but it's a little bit farther back than what you would maybe think. So there's a look at the radar, there's a look at the eye as it's coming onto shore. We've got the latest information coming in from that mission number 29 into Ian. And I don't have anything definitive to say about that yet, but the hurricane hunters are flying around
You're
in
on my
there.
fucking
We're
pillow.
ready to get that final update before official landfall. It's coming in soon. Yeah, Fort Myers is experiencing a literal emergency right now, as I mean, just so many cars are underwater. I mean, look at this. This is somebody's taking a picture of a different outlet. I mean, all the streets are just filled with cars as the ocean is pouring into the streets in and around Fort Myers Beach. It still is it's still a possibility that we are going to see similar conditions to that up here near Port Charlotte. But it just depends on where the eye of the storm goes. If it continues going in the direction that it's going right now, yes, I think that we'll see similar storm surge situations as far north as that. But if it cuts east, I don't think that we
Hey,
will
just Scratcher,
have
what's up, bro?
to deal with that in those areas. But that's why we're here. We're going to keep you updated as time goes on. Things are definitely
What's up, Angel,
getting
man? What's
worse.
going on, man? Good morning.
Conditions are obviously
Good
getting
afternoon,
worse
I mean.
up there. And we're going to continue to see
I
that
just got off
happen
on an 11-hour and
as we go
55-minute
forward.
live
Here's
stream.
another just incredible time lapse of the storm surge from Sanibel Island. From the moment there was no water over the road until I'm pretty sure the camera went out. So this is just incredible stuff here. My goodness. You know, even though this is sped up, you know that's still incredibly fast. How quick that water came up there, and it's still coming up at this moment. As always, it seems like the letter I is pretty much always the most impactful kind of storms whenever it comes to these storms that make landfall in the U.S. Ian, Ivan, Ida, you know, there's so many I-named storms. In fact, I think 11 out of all 60 of them that we've retired. Obviously, this one will be retired. Or they start with I. So, and, anytime we get an I-named storm, there's something about them that just ends up being historic sometimes. Let's see here. Still looking through. I mean, there's so much, really bad, imagery coming in from Fort Myers. I'm trying to relay a lot of that information without showing too much.
Brian, you might want to keep an eye on mine and Chris's stream if this is back up. We're pointing at cranes and these things are wobbling like crazy. Hoping they don't go down, but these winds are getting intense over here. We're just near the water north of Punta Gorda on the Port Charlotte side.
All right, thank you, Storm Chaser Brandon Coppett. Looks like those cranes are moving and wobbling there as some of the stronger wind gusts are starting to approach where Chris and Brandon are. Look at how fast those clouds are moving behind those cranes, guys. They're still not inside of the actual eye. They're not in the eye wall. They're not in the most intense part of the storm yet. What you're seeing, that rapid motion with the clouds behind the cranes is actually the outer side of the eye wall.
Hey Ron, this is Chris. I got the stream back up. Watch the stream. You can see the top of this construction site get shredded into.
So we're going to keep an eye on that as I continue to try to look for more updates on the Fort Myers and Naples situation. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable what's unfolding here. It looks like we got the latest 2 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center, and there have been no changes for the most part. Winds remain at 155 miles an hour with a pressure of 937 millibar. The hurricane warning and the storm surge warning for the entire area are continue all the way through the central portion of Florida. They've actually started discontinuing some of those for areas at the extreme southern extent back there towards Key West. So we are going to continue to watch this. Look at this. We've got debris flying off the top of this building near Port Charlotte as some of those more intense winds come through. This is a live look at Storm Chaser Chris Hall's vantage point there. And right next to the eye wall, I want to kind of show you guys a visual representation of where we are once again, so you understand how close these guys are to getting the brunt of the storm. Let's go back to radar. Everything inside of this red circle is where the most intense winds are, 130, 140, 155 miles an hour. And then right on the outside of that is Chris Hall and Brandon Coppett. They are literally right on the edge of it. So things should start deteriorating there pretty soon. Go ahead, Andy.
Hey, Brian, lots of people asked about our current tornado warning, as that does include Indian River and Brevard County in Florida, Brevard, whichever pronunciation. That includes the county of Melbourne is in, but the tornado is in the far southwestern corner of that, to the northeast of Yeehaw Junction. And I believe, I can't really tell if it is on the ground or not. It's probable, susceptible, or not susceptible, but it's probable that tornado may be on the ground, hopefully not impacting anyone though in a rural area in the inland Indian River and Brevard County area.
Okay. Thank you so much, Andy. Tornado warning for Brevard and Indian River counties up there in Florida. Lots of rotation, but once again, not enough for us to be able to confirm that there's a tornado down. Storm does look pretty suspicious. You can see the hook there, and this is going to continue to go up towards Locacy and Kenansville. But the warning right now is just for Brevard and Indian River County. So if you're in that polygon or if you're in those counties, consider taking shelter right now as we come back to Chris Hall's really captivating footage of a lot of debris just flying off of this building here near Port Charlotte as things are really starting to go downhill fast as the eye wall approaches them. And I've got, oh my God, there's an incredible video, a rare first person view of storm surge. Mike Bettis from the Weather Channel posted this on his Twitter. So I think this is like Weather Channel stuff, so I'm not going to show it just in case they try to copyright us. I don't know. I don't know who took this video. Hopefully it was a Weather Channel storm chaser, because we don't want normal everyday people in situations like this. But if you guys want to see something absolutely horrendous that's associated with this storm, that is definitely it. That is one of the most intense videos from a hurricane I think I've ever seen. Once again, there's a camera 6 feet off the ground on Estero Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach, which is once again taking the worst of this storm, which is just a terrible situation. That's one of the more populated areas of the entire southwestern Florida zone, and it's taking the full force of Ian right now. And once again, I've got that on Twitter, and so does obviously Mike Bettis. We've got several storm chasers out there. We've got our Radar Omega cyclone port network that we're intermittently getting a connection to. One of those cameras at the El Jabin Bridge, I believe is how you say it, is really taking a beating right now, and I'll show you a time lapse from that right here in a second. But I went ahead and retweeted that if you guys want to look at it there. Here's a video from Brandon of that crane. Look at how much it's moving. You can see it a lot better here with the high resolution. But the whole thing is moving back and forth. Thank goodness there's no crane operator inside there right now. And it looks like officially the eyewall has overtaken Chris and Brandon's location. As you can see, the rain bands are starting to pick up. The wind is starting to pick up, and things are starting to look pretty bad here in the Punta Gorda area in Florida. So yeah, officially we have contact with the eyewall through a lot of our storm chasers, including Brett Adair, who is obviously seeing some really strong winds come through right now. All of these guys are somewhere between Northport and Punta Gorda, okay? So when we don't have their exact location, and obviously Port Charlotte, when we don't have their exact location pulled up due to connectivity issues, just know that that's around where they are. So winds are really picking up there. We can see that through Brett Adair's camera. We can see that through Storm Chaser Chris Hall's view of this building. And we obviously can see that through everybody else's as well. We've got another shot from Brad Arnold here of some really significant winds starting to pick up. So let's see if we can get an update from Chris, and we'll see. We'll go from there. Chris, it looks like things are getting a lot worse. Looks like things are going downhill fast there. Can you tell me what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're experiencing?
Definitely going downhill quick. You just hear the roars of the wind, Ryan, probably maxing 50, 60, maybe even 70 plus. We're just sitting here watching these cranes and this construction site get absolutely shredded. You know, it's really weird to see the cranes moving as much as they are with no crane operator, but you know, we're not even in the brunt of the storm, so we're going to sit here and see how this acts right here.
All right, thank you, Storm Chaser Chris Hall. Also, things going downhill near Brad Arnold. So let's get an update from him. Hey, Brad, we're watching, we're following along. Looks like things are starting to ramp up. If you got time, why don't you tell us the sights and sounds and tell us your experience, what's going on right now there where you are.
Hey Ryan, still no onshore flow, but so there's no surge yet, so we're going to stay out as long as possible. Getting winds probably close to 100 miles an hour right now. I would guess they're getting close to Category 2. Pushing the car quite a bit. Had a little bit of debris hit the side of the car, but we're okay. We've seen a couple of people out here actually walking around. Like it's just a normal day out here with their cell phones filming things. Just regular civilians walking around. I'm just surprised with everything that's going on, with how much warning they've had, that we're still having people that are walking around.
So that was an update from Storm Chaser Brad Arnold. Once again, apparently some people are outside, not 100% aware of what's getting ready to happen. I think that, the storm is coming, but it needs to hurry up, because if it doesn't, I think people are going to get too comfortable out here trying to walk around. It's inevitable at this point, it's going to hit. So we're just waiting to see what exactly happens here. We got an update from Radar Omega. This is a video. It's just not loading for me. I'm still not. I'm having a lot of problems with that right now, but we'll pull to that here in a second. But we're going to leave up Brad Arnold's view of Punta Gorda, Florida, near Port Charlotte, as things are getting a lot worse. Once again, we're probably seeing 70, 80 mile an hour sustained winds, gusts over 100. Every once in a while, you'll see a 110, a 120 as we get closer to the center of this eye. And beyond that, we're even probably going to start seeing the storm surge move into this area at some point as well. It looks like a lot of the really intense storm surge, at least for the most part, is staying right now in the Fort Myers area. That's where that really incredibly strong southwest flow is moving the water onto land. And a lot of that directional water movement isn't kind of lining up correctly with the Port Charlotte area here, which is good news. It's good news. How long is that going to last? I don't know. But if the storm doesn't start moving in any direction anytime soon, Fort Myers is just in a really bad situation, as that storm surge water is just going to continue to inundate the area as time goes on. Currently 2:15 p.m. Eastern, and we are still awaiting for an official landfall announcement. But basically, the worst of Hurricane Ian is being felt right now in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and Fort Myers Beach. It's starting to be felt near the Burnt Store Marina and South Punta Gorda Heights. And within the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to start to see some of the really negative impacts being felt as far north as Punta Gorda, which is where a lot of our storm chasers are. And then, of course, Northport and Venice. And beyond that, it could be several hours from now, but even Arcadia, Florida, is going to be getting in on some of this, really strong hurricane impacts as we go forward. Thank you once again, everybody, for sending me all of these updates on Twitter. I'm going to try to relay as much of this as possible. And the videos and pictures that I'm seeing right now coming out of Fort Myers it's a literal catastrophe. It really is. Lots of flooding is starting in Port St. Lucie and around Stewart. This is just from rain, but the conditions are continuing to deteriorate in Tampa as well, where we're starting to see those winds ramp up and the really heavy rain start to break into some of the areas near Tampa, especially on the southern side near the bay and Sarasota. Sarasota County is shut down. They've actually completely shut down Sarasota. Even the emergency and management officials are out of there. The police, ambulance, none of that is going to be working for the rest of the evening, at least until further notice. Power outages are climbing as expected. We got 450,000 people without power now in Florida. That'll quickly surge over 500,000 here within the next little bit, and I do expect that a million, if not millions, of people will be without power by the time this is all said and done. A lot of people are asking for an update on Naples, and unfortunately, this is the first thing I've seen from Naples in a while. This is a look at a parking garage just a couple moments ago in Naples, Florida. Obviously, the surge is still rising, the flooding is still occurring, and this is all happening now in the Naples area. So the water is still rising down there, and I want to take a brief moment and kind of explain once again, just in case anybody doesn't understand what's going on. Why are some areas flooding? Why are some not yet? What's going on? Or what's happening? It's important to know that this is the center of Hurricane Ian. This is the eye, right? We've got counterclockwise flow around it. everybody pretty much north of this axis is seeing an overall average airflow that points this way. It's going from the land out to sea, right? Everybody south of that, however, is seeing the opposite. We're going from sea to land. And a hurricane as big as Ian, it's carrying a lot of the sea onto the land, but only south of that line. When the directional winds are coming from the ocean onto land, that's where we are going to see the most significant surge. Right now, this hurricane is just dancing around, pretty much staying stationary, and that's why we're seeing the constant inundation of water in Fort Myers. Fort Myers is, by the way, right here. Fort Myers Beach, right here. It's not moving. So the longer this stays here, the more water that's going to be pushed into this area. But if it starts to go north, once again, remember this axis. If the overall storm moves north, that axis will move north, and everybody south of it will have to deal with some of the same situations that we're seeing in Fort Myers. If it doesn't, the situation is just going to compound and get a lot worse down here from Bonita Springs, Naples, Fort Myers, all the way up there to Cape Coral and in the Pineland area. So that is what we're looking at right now. Everybody north of here is experiencing some of the heavier rain, and we're getting ready to experience some of the stronger wind gusts associated with the hurricane. But the real damaging storm surge is all kind of being held back into this zone right now. I can't tell you what's going to happen next, man. This hurricane is sitting still. It's literally not moving at all. So we're just going to have to watch every update as it comes in as to try to determine, who's coming, what's going to happen next. So that's what we're dealing with there. I got a video from Radar Omega that I can show with you guys of that bridge. The video of the bridge. So here's that. So this is one of our sensors with the camera built into it that we've installed onto the side of a bridge, and it's shaking, and it's probably not going to last much longer. Once again, this is a part of the Project Mesovort thing, and obviously there's a lot of these cameras and sensors out there sending us data. This is some of the video that we're just now getting from around that bridge. Storm chasers are starting to see the impacts of this storm really start to unfold as well. You can see it's looking pretty intense in just about every one of the angles. But the center of the storm is still a couple miles away, and I don't know if the storm never moves. I don't know if they'll end up being underneath the most intense portion or not. Hopefully not. We want our storm chasers to stay safe. That's the most important thing. We want them to be there for us for the next one. My goodness, what is this? A boat? Oh my God, look at this. This is some chilling imagery. Somebody is sitting on the second floor of a building, and they're recording a boat floating by. This is in Fort Myers. The person recording this is on the second floor of this building, and a boat is floating by, almost, looks like to me like it's probably halfway over the first floor. That's got to be unnerving to see in person. Certainly would not want to be in that situation myself. But yeah, as you can tell, things are going downhill fast down here in southwestern Florida. It's 2:22 p.m. I missed my top of the hour recap. I'm going to try to do that right now. Looks like we just got a confirmed report of a 126 mile an hour wind gust as well, a little bit to the south of Cape Coral. So things are really starting to get intense out there. Let me come back to the multi-view for our storm chasers and remind everybody that's just now tuning in. We are covering the dangerous, the large, and the potentially catastrophic Category 4, almost Category 5 Hurricane Ian. There's a tornado watch out for a lot of southern Florida, and we've seen a couple of tornado warnings today. In fact, we have a tornado warning right now for Brevard and Indian River counties in Florida. If you're there, please take shelter. But the reason I bring that up is because even outside of the eye, even outside of the centralized, eye wall where the most intense impacts are being felt, this is going to impact a lot of people in Florida. 12 million people, in fact, are under that tornado watch. North of the circulation, places like Tampa, places like Orlando, Palm Bay, Deltona, all the way up to Palm Coast, you guys are not going to have to deal with the storm surge and the catastrophic wind damage as much as your neighbors to the south. However, the really prolific rain is going to be the big problem there. Maybe over 15 inches of rain is going to be possible as we go forward. That'll lead to catastrophic freshwater flooding, even without the help of the ocean. So that's one of the things that we're looking at there. Obviously, there are multiple states of emergencies issued. There are mandatory evacuation orders in place. At this point, it's kind of pointless to talk about them because we've already, relayed that information a lot, and we're right now to the point to where it's almost at the point of no return, to where if you haven't left yet and you decided that you wanted to, it's probably better to just shelter in place. This is a look at what a Hurricane Ian looks like on radar as it approaches land. And as you can see, a lot of the eye is trying to move right up into Port Charlotte. The actual center of low pressure is still offshore, so I don't think we have an official landfall yet, but that might happen here within the next little bit. Storm chaser Vince Welty has sent a video of some damage to power lines where he is, and we'll watch that unfold right here. You can see this is, I think he came over the radio and told us about this when this happened, but this is another reason why we want people to be inside and shelter in place. This is going to happen a lot. This is probably happening right now in a lot of places across Florida. You don't want to be outside, like apparently Brad says people are just walking around like it's a normal day, and this right here fall down on you, and that's the end. And those winds that we just saw in that video weren't even that intense. Don't get me wrong, they're 70 miles an hour. The winds that we are going to experience across the hurricane warning and the extreme warning area are going to be much more intense than that. So please stay indoors and do not be outside in a situation like this. This is a live look at Storm Chaser Brad Arnold's feed, where we are in Punta Gorda, Florida, looking at conditions slowly but surely getting worse and worse. It looks like Fort Myers and Naples are getting the worst of this, though, by far. We've got a ton of cars that are underwater in this area. The streets are just completely flooded, and this is just going to continue to be the case as we go forward, because the storm is once again not moving. The axis of storm surge flow is just going to continue to be right up there towards Naples and Fort Myers until the storm decides to move. Then we're going to continue to see the constant inundation and flooding until that decides to move. And I don't see any sort of changes in the trajectory, at least in the past little bit. Let's see here. There's a video. My goodness. Once again, some of the stuff coming in from Fort Myers Beach is just extreme. Honestly, this is what we were afraid of. This is what you expect when a catastrophic hurricane comes ashore. But we've got houses floating off of their foundations. Houses floating off of their foundations in the storm surge as the waters continue to rise and the winds continue to get worse. This is just moments ago in the Fort Myers area. My goodness. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on that. I am retweeting all this stuff, by the way. If you want to see these videos, they're on Twitter. Let's see here. Also, it seems like there was a report from the latest Hurricane Hunter mission of hail in the eye wall from the hurricane hunters. I feel like that's also something that's a little bit rare. Lots of lightning associated with this storm, and apparently now we've got hail up there where the hurricane hunters are. I think that I've seen something like that, maybe with the Hurricane Sam back in 2021. But yeah, that's just another indication of how odd this storm is, and how strong it is, I guess, at this point. We are about to watch this thing once again go over some really populated areas here, but I hope that everybody is sheltered in place, and I hope that everybody that needed to make preparations leading up to this got that done, and you're ready to you ready to go now, and you're ready to kind of sit this one out, because this is, I mean, my goodness, the people that are living in these houses, all you can do is hope that they evacuated. And the lights turned purple, so that means we have a community update. So whoever's got that for me, go ahead.
Hey Ryan, it's Riley. Now's a good time to go ahead and pull up those cameras, especially Brett's stream. It's looking really crazy. We're watching trees come down. Bryce just had to flee because the water started coming up in the canal. Vince's is just trees getting ripped apart, and those cranes are really starting to get thrown around in all different directions.
Okay, thank you so much, Riley. We're going to stay locked in now on our storm chasers, as this is what we've been kind of awaiting for them, as they are now in some of the most intense parts of the storm. You can already see there's some damage happening here on Brad Arnold's stream. We've got lots of trees down. We've got power flashes I'm seeing from Brett Adair, Vince, and Chris and Brandon and all these guys, as they are now intercepting, once again, some of the strongest winds associated with Hurricane Ian. I don't have I don't know exactly what the wind speeds are, but I'm going to try to check in on some of that information right now. Once again, you're looking at a live view of what's happening out here in the Port Charlotte area. Okay? And currently, it looks like 80 to 90 miles per hour is what Vince is recording. But I've got a feeling that Brandon and Chris, especially, and possibly even Brett Adair and Brad Arnold, are seeing winds even higher than that. Just look at those rain bands whipping by there. And you can literally see the cranes swaying in the wind. Also, wouldn't be surprised to see those topple over as the winds continue to get stronger. This is the beginning stages of some of the stronger winds that we're going to see from this storm. And thankfully, these guys are not having to flee just yet, because we're not seeing a big storm surge problem like we are in Fort Myers. We've got houses underwater. We've got houses that are just floating away in the storm surge down there. And that's because the storm is literally sitting in one spot, sending the Gulf of Mexico onto the shore there. And the longer that this goes on, the more catastrophic the damage is going to be in that area. And unfortunately, these photos are from a resident. Every once in a while, we're going to briefly leave the cameras and come to show some of these reports. So this is somebody that lives here, and they said, storm surge outside of my mom's house in Fort Myers Beach. I'm so sick. So this is from somebody's mom is sending them this as the waters continue to rise. So unfortunately, if this storm moves, if it goes to the north, more people are going to have to deal with that, including people around Cape Coral and Pineland. If it continues to move to the east at the very slow pace that it's going right now, we're looking at just an unprecedented disaster in Fort Myers and Bonita Springs and these areas, because several more hours of the water inundation there is just going to be
a new tornado warning has been issued.
And we got another tornado warning. Another tornado warning was just issued there. And as soon as we get the polygon on that, I'm going to show you that. But it looks like Brad Arnold and our guys are really in the thick of it now, as we're starting to get some dramatic imagery of the storm as it comes through. Let's come over to, looks like, I don't know what happened there. Looks like somebody's refreshing the feeds for us. Let's come to the radar and kind of analyze this a little bit. Once again, our storm chasers are here. They're obviously starting to see the devastating, some of the really high winds, but they're still not in the worst part of the storm. That's still several miles to their south. So I hope they're, obviously, these are trained professionals. They're going to be all right, but I hope they're taking heed of the fact that this is not the worst of it, and it's actually going to get more intense as time goes on. As you can see here, we've got several trees down, power lines down. Things are unfolding right before us as the eye wall comes into the Fort Myers area. Let's see here. So many videos from Fort Myers coming in. I'm going to try to condense that down. I don't want to just show videos of the whole time, because I want to make sure that we're constantly analyzing the radar, letting people downstream know what's going to happen next. But I do want to make sure we're also effectively communicating how bad this is going to get for the people that haven't seen it yet. Let's see here. Major storm surge happening right now in Fort Myers. Several feet. The first floor of pretty much all the buildings in the Fort Myers Beach area is underwater. And of course, we have a lot of cars underwater too. We're seeing a lot of footage like this coming in from Fort Myers. That and you know, there was a lot of warning out ahead of this storm. There was a whole lot of warning. So you know that the people who own those cars just they weren't confused. They weren't like surprised by the fact that there was a hurricane. They believed that they were in a spot where the storm surge wouldn't affect them, or that these vehicles were just left behind in the evacuation. I don't know, but seeing stuff like this just tells me that more than likely this is more intense than what the locals expected. By the way, if you are a local to Florida, just kind of hunker down. We'll get through this together here. It's not going to be forever. This won't last forever, but it does look like it's going to last a long time, as the storm is not moving anywhere in a hurry. And of course, Fort Myers, there's a shark in the neighborhood here. Look at this. There's an actual shark swimming around in one of the Fort Myers neighborhoods there during Hurricane Ian. And that I can tell that this is pretty far inland too. So that's one of the things that we're seeing. Looks like Storm Chaser Brad Arnold is out there getting some wind measurements, doing some updates on what's going to happen. I'm sure we'll see those videos here soon. But you can tell that things are getting really intense there, right in the middle of Hurricane Ian, as they are pretty much intercepting the eye at this point. The really intense winds, the strongest winds in the storm, are just kind of dancing around where they are. Once again, this is where our storm chasers are. They've had intermittent periods of some of the stronger winds, but they're still on the outside edge of it. I don't know how they've managed to pick this spot that's just kind of skirting around the biggest parts of the storm, but they've done it, and we're going to continue to do that. Barry Bones is watching. We'll show him here in a minute. And yeah, there's so many pictures and videos coming in through Fort Myers. I'm sorry that for all the people who maybe don't have Twitter or don't like Twitter, that's just the best way I can do it. I just hit a button and it retweets and it goes out there. Here is the video that we just saw Brad Arnold taking there. I don't think we have audio on this, but I think we're going to continue to see. We'll see the finished product from this here in a little bit, as he's giving us an update on what's going on out there in the middle of Hurricane Ian. Man, so many really unfortunate videos, including stuff from Fort Myers, which just continues to look worse and worse. If you're just now tuning in, this is live coverage of Hurricane Ian, which is about to make landfall here in southwestern Florida, with winds at around 155 miles per hour and a historic storm surge that will cause a catastrophe the locals here will be cleaning up from for a long time. We've already found some recorded wind gusts above 100 miles an hour. I'm seeing 101, 115, 126. Most of these really intense wind gusts are coming from areas where the eye wall is actually coming onto shore. So near Cape Coral, down there near the Bonita Springs area, and then the Pine Island area. That's where we're seeing most of our wind gusts on the ground that are actually exceeding 100 miles an hour. The really strong winds on the northern side of the storm are there, but they're once we have to remember they're really tightly compacted into close to that eye wall. So right now in Punta Gorda, we're probably seeing 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts, but the 130s and the 150s, if those are going to be felt, that'll still be a couple minutes from now before we actually end up seeing that. It looks like there's a, you know, I thought for 2 seconds that this was that box truck that we saw earlier driving down the road and it flipped over, but this thankfully looks like an unmanned trailer here that has just been toppled over by the wind. If you just now tuning in, we saw somebody driving a big box truck in the middle of all this, and we were just waiting for it to flip over. This is a perfect example of how that can happen. This is Storm Chaser Brad Arnold, live view here, and I'm going to ask for an update. Brad, was you out there getting some wind measurements? If so, what did you get? Want to show?
Hey, it was tough to get a really good wind measurement because it was more of a swirling wind, I guess, the way that the buildings were oriented. I will say we were out getting some wind readings and I heard a huge bang, and that's why I ran back to the car. I don't know if you can get my stream on, but we've got a big tractor trailer that has flipped over, like completely over, and has started skidding on the pavement right now. So things are starting to roll over. It may be about time for us to go back, but yeah, it's wild out here right now.
I don't know how much you've been able to keep up with radar, but the storm's basically just sitting still in the same spot. I don't know if the storm surge situation, I don't know when it'll unfold there or if it will. What's your current thoughts on that? Do you think you'll be staying where you are for a significant amount of time, or do you think you're going to end up having to go north, south, east, west? What are you thinking?
I mean, for the surge, I don't know if we can get there. A lot of things that I'm seeing on social are that Fort Myers is the place to be, but I don't know if we can get down there with all the flooding. It looks like from social that place is completely underwater. You know, it may be just one of those things that we hope for the storm surge, but you know, I don't know. You know, all it takes is one little wobble, and then sometimes it'll change it to onshore flow quickly. So we're just kind of playing things by ear. We're definitely going to run that. We're not going anywhere right now in Category 3. Category 3 winds is what I'm thinking right now. We're not leaving anywhere right now. We will reassess when we get to the eye to kind of see what we want to do. We'll be in the eye for a while.
Okay, thank you, Storm Chaser Brad Arnold. And by the way, that video that Zach and Brad took, this one that we were looking at, I thought that was Brad. I thought Brad stuck a helmet on and went out there, but that's actually Jim Cantore. I didn't realize that when we were showing it, but that's Jim Cantore out there getting him a live shot for the Weather Channel. It looks like we got an update from Andy. Go ahead, Andy.
Thanks, Ryan. Hey guys, Andy here. I've got a couple updates. The first one is that Ian is about to make landfall in Cayo Costa. That happens when the very center of the eye, the very center of the storm, passes over land directly. So I expect that we will have an official landfall from the National Hurricane Center shortly in that area. In addition to that, our active tornado warning is I believe it is producing a tornado at the moment. I can see what looks like a tornado debris signature in just outside of Brevard County and in eastern Osceola County in Florida. I think there are no areas, residential or populated areas, impacted by the path of this tornado. However, I believe it is on the ground currently, and the current tornado warning is radar indicated, so it has not been confirmed yet.
Okay, thank you, Andy. It does look like we might have a tornado down here, so we're gonna assume that there is one all the way up there to Deer Park. Again, Brevard and Osceola counties in Florida. Take shelter now as a tornadic supercell has developed here. It looks really convincing on reflectivity. You can see the inflow there, you can see the hook echo, you can see where the tornado would probably be. We verify that by looking at velocity, and yeah, there's a huge couplet here, but it's a little bit distorted. So we'll see what happens. If the National Weather Service ends up changing that over to a confirmed tornado warning, we will obviously be the first ones to let you know. We'll have that update for you as quickly as possible. So we're going to focus on that, but we're also going to kind of make sure that we're spending time looking at what the storm chasers are sharing with us. because they're about to experience the full force of major Hurricane Ian, which is moving into the area now. Once again, I want to be very clear that more than anything, more than any other place, Naples, Bonita Springs, and Fort Myers are definitely experiencing the worst of this storm right now, because obviously the winds are bad. The winds are really bad out there all around the eye wall. We're going to see a lot of wind damage from this. But the storm surge is going to be the main story here, and it looks like Fort Myers is just absolutely getting the worst of this as we continue to see new pictures and videos come in. A lot of the city, Fort Myers Beach, all the way up into farther inland, is experiencing flooding right now as a result of the coastal surge, and it's going to continue to get worse if the storm doesn't move, and it hasn't moved in quite some time. Here's a current look at conditions in Port Charlotte, Florida, courtesy of EarthCam. You can see there that things are rapidly deteriorating. We got an update from Chris Hall, one of our storm chasers, who's filmed some power flashes there. You see them in the distance. That's also near Port Charlotte, where Chris Hall is right now. And of course, some of the more sad updates that we've gotten from Fort Myers show houses nearly completely covered with water as the ocean comes towards land. And this is Beth posted this not too long ago. Storm surge outside of my mom's house in Fort Myers Beach. I'm so sick. Unfortunately, a lot of people who are experiencing similar situations to that right now don't have power or service to get the videos and pictures out. And obviously, probably the last thing you're thinking about doing is taking pictures and videos in a situation like that. So there's so many other negative or bad things happening out there that we're unfortunately probably going to hear about as time goes on today, as a worst case scenario is unfolding in Fort Myers. More images are coming out from Fort Myers Beach. Once again, homes being completely destroyed, washed away from the ocean, almost as if a flash flood is occurring or some sort of tsunami, literally moving with force these buildings out of the way as the water comes into the shore. Here's a look at current conditions near Port Charlotte from Brett Adair's live feed. Things continuously look worse and worse. Let's see here. Hurricane warnings are in effect all the way through more central portions of Florida, as hurricane wind gusts are expected possibly all the way as far inland as Orlando. Even though this thing, once this makes landfall, it is going to ultimately kind of weaken a little bit, but it's not going to stop being a problem for Floridians, not for a while anyways. So it's going to slowly move across the state, producing catastrophic wind damage on the southwestern portion, hurricane force winds all the way up until central Florida, and then on top of that we've got the tornadic potential. There's probably damage being done right now near Deer Park in Florida, thanks to that tornado with the ongoing tornado warning. And then beyond that, we've got just flooding. We've got catastrophic flooding that's likely going to happen from Tampa up to Orlando and Daytona Beach as a result of just the rain from this thing. So this is it's about as bad of a situation as we could possibly be in here as we watch this monster storm come ashore. Big time water level rises in Fort Myers, once again setting records for storm surge. So, and once again, some of the pictures and videos we're going to see out of there are going to be pretty sad. Let's see here. I'm going to see Marco Island is updating yet. Oops. Looks like we lost the camera again. Guys, if you're watching, I know the camera went off. I don't know what's going on with it. It's got a problem with it. Every once in a while, it's going to go off. My face is probably the least important part of this broadcast. We're just going to keep going. And I'm going to give the camera a break. And I'll plug it back in. I'll get it set back up here in just a second. So as long as you can see me And as long as you can hear me, that's what matters the most. And of course, we're mostly focused on our the visuals from our storm chasers, anyways, like storm chaser Brad Arnold, who's in Punta Gorda, Florida, currently giving us a view of some of the really strong wind gusts that are coming through. Also, Brett Adair is showing us a street there near Port Charlotte, Florida, that's receiving a lot of wind damage from, looks to me like Category 2, that's a Category 3 conditions. Yeah, I think the camera, it's probably overheating. I don't know though. We went all day, we went like 8 hours yesterday and it never went off, so. It's all good though. We've got surge destruction getting much worse in the Naples area as well. It's not just the Fort Myers, which is a place that we've kind of been focused on, but also Warren, Storm Chaser Warren out there is showing pictures from Naples, which is still seeing water rise significantly here as we continue to see that storm surge just go right onto land there. I want to show you an animation or a view of the storm in motion one more time to kind of explain why we're seeing that. So the winds coming around like this are pushing the water from the Gulf of Mexico onto land. So this is the area that's seeing the worst storm surge right now. It looks to me like the storm's going to make landfall here soon, somewhere right in here. So it'll probably be maintained. And most of the storm surge, the devastating storm surge like we've seen in Fort Myers, will probably be reserved to an area south of Cape Coral. I'm hoping that this doesn't randomly turn north and end up producing another catastrophic, devastating situation up there near Northport and Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte. But that's still something that could happen. So we're not letting our guard down, and we are going to make sure we're prepared for the worst, hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. Here's a live look at Storm Chaser Brad Arnold. And somebody just messaged me and said, Ryan, it's been an hour since you drank water. And that is true. I probably should take a real quick water break. Andy, do you think you got me for like 5 minutes?
Yeah, I got you, Ryan. I'm here. Get some water.
All right, guys. This is meteorologist Andy Hill, and he's gonna walk you through this as I go get me a drink of water, and I'll hopefully have the camera back up by the time I get back. All right, take it away.
Put my camera on. Okay, there we go. Good. All right, hi guys. Yep, meteorologist Andy Hill here. If you don't know me, lots of new faces here. Thanks for stopping by the stream, y'all. It's important that we get this information out to as many people as possible today, and we're doing a fantastic job of that. But as Ryan is getting water, make sure you all are doing the same. Make sure you're hydrated. You're staying physically well and mentally well. Take a mental break if you need one as you absorb all this information. We'll do our best to keep it going for you. So glad to see all of you. Great to see you all in the chat. As I did mention, we basically should have official landfall now or in the immediate future as Hurricane Ian makes landfall near Cayo Costa to the west of Cape Coral. So that happens when the center of the eye, the very center of the storm, passes over land, and you can see that right here, just near Cape Coral and Pineland. We're expecting the hurricane to go north, where all of our storm chasers are going north-northeast into the Punta Gorda area. This is actually a very favorable track for this hurricane to take to reduce some of the possible storm surge impacts here in Punta Gorda, because of the way wind flows around the hurricane. It goes like this, counterclockwise, so against the clock. And that means the winds are pulling the water up from the ocean on this side, and if it went into the bay with all those strong winds in the eye wall, we would have a different situation for our storm chasers right now, which you can see live feeds right up here at the top on this feed. If you're wondering about who I am, I'm meteorologist Andy Hill. I got my degree at University of North Carolina at Asheville. Wonderful meteorology department there. It was very tough too. So I'm hoping that I can give you relevant life-saving information that you can trust as well. Ryan, Ryan is not a meteorologist himself, despite what you may think, but he is an avid weather enthusiast who's been taught by so many meteorologists that he may as well be one at some, to a certain extent. But he does employ 3 meteorologists on his team, including myself, basically, nearly full time. So our team is strong. We have many,
A
at
new
least 50
tornado
people watching
warning
the
has
back
been
end
issued.
relaying information up to us. You can trust in us, I hope, because I think this is amazing coverage. As we get new tornado warnings, let me take you to that. Actually, I have the power to do that on this PC here. It is near to the west of, southwest of Melbourne in this area near Palm Bay. It is in this remote area of Kenansville, though. And I don't expect this tornado to impact anyone. We'll wait for this imagery to download. While it does, though, I'll relay that it is in Osceola County. It is in eastern to northeastern Osceola County. And that is currently tracking towards Hullapa, and Highway 192 and 44, or not 44, but the intersection of Highway 441 and 192. So if you know someone in this area while we wait for the radar to load, it might take a while as I'm doing my best here. Make sure you tell them. So for anyone who's relocating from Tampa into the inland and the central Florida peninsula, you are under a mild tornado threat today. Virtually every single hurricane that interacts with land will produce confirmed tornadoes. So Ian is no exception in that case. So we definitely are on the lookout for tornadoes, and the Storm Prediction Center is issuing appropriate outlooks for that. This reader does not want to load, so let's put the satellite in there for a second. You back, Ryan? You got some water? Make sure everyone's getting water.
Yeah, I'm back.
Staying physically and mentally well. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah.
I'm hydrated.
I will also hydrate myself.
And we're going to get back into making sure we are relaying all this information here. And I am going to tell you about that most recent tornado warning. It's important that we cover the tornado warnings pretty intensively, guys, because everybody that's over here getting impacted by the hurricane, they know it's there, right? Like, you're not going to get surprised by this whenever this is going on. But some of the people over here in more northern and eastern parts of Florida might get surprised by the fact that there are tornadoes around, because it's not necessarily, a hurricane over there.
Hey, Ryan, do you copy?
Yeah, Brad, what's up?
Hey, can you kind of, can you search social media and kind of see what it looks like near like Fort Myers? I know Fort Myers Beach is underwater, but maybe Fort Myers, something like that, just to get us in the onshore flow of this. Because I'm not thinking that we're going to see any. We're getting really strong wind, and we're going to get the eye, but we're not going to get any surge with this, I don't think. And I can move in the eye, so I need to know something pretty soon.
All right, so I think we still got 100,000 people watching right now. So if anybody lives in Fort Myers that stayed behind, and you can do so safely, send us a picture or a video or something of what actual, not Fort Myers Beach, we know that that's like underwater, but send us a picture on Twitter or something of what the city of Fort Myers looks like. And when the eye comes over our storm chasers here, they might try to use that quiet period of weather to travel down to the south a little bit. That will also allow them to be in position to possibly, like Brandon and them could possibly help people if people need help. But they only want to move during the period of time where they're in the eye. So if you guys could help me out with that, that'd be awesome. Twitter at Ryan Hall Y'all, and I'll be looking at those submissions here soon. But first off, this is that latest tornado warning. Okay, so we've got a tornado warning for Osceola counties, and this is the area of rotation that we're talking about that could potentially be producing a tornado. Hullapa, and the Highway 192 corridor here between Harmony and Deer Park needs to be taking shelter as a tornado is likely coming towards you right now. Let's continue to look at our storm chaser feeds. We're about to be in the eye. disappointing. Obviously, it depends greatly on how quickly the storm moves. It's still not moving very much, but these guys are going to be in the eye of the storm soon. They'll have the ability, while the eye of the storm is over the interstate area there between Punta Gorda and Fort Myers, to travel to Fort Myers and potentially be in a better position. But we want to make sure that that the city, downtown city, is actually okay right now, and it's not as much of a catastrophe there as maybe Fort Myers Beach. So I see a lot of you are going over to Twitter, and okay, here's some pictures from Fort Myers. I don't know, Brad, I'm starting to get a whole lot of pictures from Fort Myers. So if you want to look at my mentions on Twitter, if you have the ability to do that, you or Zach, you'll be able to see pretty much the entire city. But I can also send some of those to you if you need me to.
Ryan, Tim, we've got a subdivision being shredded alive here.
All right, I'm gonna pull up Vince. I'm gonna pull up Vince on a different screen because I feel like we're not seeing. I don't think we're getting the updated view of his thing here. So let me pull him up on a different screen, and we'll show that. Once again, he's saying that we've got subdivision and getting shredded here in, where exactly is he at? Vince, we're watching, we're following along. Can you tell us, I know your approximate location, but for anybody who may be from here or near there, can you give a little bit more of a specific location? Got stuff flying across the road.
My map says burnt. Oh my God, the film. It says Brickstorm Marina. This might be like Yacht Club Drive or Yacht Club Road. This is Highway 765 or whatever. This is about 2 or 3 miles south of some fire department, like a station number 5 or something. I think it might be Yacht Club Road up there. It's near Burnt Storm Marina. And we've got tin and everything flying across. These look like they may be manufactured homes. But this place is being shredded apart right now. It's not even safe to cross the road. We're going to have to wait for the eye. But I really hope there's nobody back there. Most of these buildings have shutters on them, but like I said, there's just an incredible amount of debris going over the car and past the camera. The camera doesn't do it justice.
All right. Thank you, Vince Welty. He's a little bit farther south than the rest of these guys. But even up here where like Storm Chaser Chris Hall is, you can see that things are getting worse and worse by the minute. I mean, if you guys have been watching for a while, you remember what this looked like 30 minutes ago. Now you see this. It just keeps getting worse as they get closer and closer to the most intense part of the storm, which once again is still promoting wind gusts well over 150 miles an hour. It's going to be slow, just like the approach of the storm was slow. But going through the center of the storm, the most intense part of the storm, is also going to be slow. But once it moves past, our storm chasers here are going to be in the eye. And the conditions are going to be literally just like fine for the most part. And that'll give them the ability to kind of maybe relax a little bit. And then maybe even move too. To
I don't know what the delay is on your stream, Ryan, but that tree that I'm zoomed in on is literally an entire roof in it.
All right, we're going to come back over to Vince and see if we can see that. Obviously, there's a little bit more of a delay here between me and Vince, and I think that's just because he's where the storm's hitting just a little bit harder where he is. There's a little bit more internet connectivity problems, but there's that tree that he was talking about. This is a live look at Storm Chaser Vince Welty in Punta Gorda, Florida, in the southwestern portion of Florida. All of our storm chasers are in this general vicinity. We've also got a storm surge report down here from Fort Myers Beach that I'm just seeing coming through. And it says so there's multiple reports of storm surge levels up to the first story roofs. And obviously we've seen a lot of videos and pictures that confirm that. another live look from storm chaser Brad Arnold, who is giving us a handheld view here at some of the winds that are going on here across portions of Punta Gorda, Florida. Rolling down the window even. I don't know if I'd be doing that right now, but you can see things are really, oh my goodness, things are really ramping up there with those rain bands just whipping by. Certainly gusting around 100 miles an hour there, if not higher than that. If you're just now tuning in, we still do have a tornado warning up there in Osceola County. We have a tornado watch for the whole southern tip of Florida, and we have a hurricane, a Category 4 hurricane, making landfall right now near Pineland and the areas around it, Fort Myers Beach. And we are just relaying live information from all of our storm chasers and from radar. Speaking of that, we've got an update from Andy. Go ahead, Andy.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I just wanted to correct. Apparently, the landfall location does have to have a.
And just as a heads up, we just got the alert, extreme wind warning was just issued for the area until
Will
6
be
p.m.
the official landfalling location near in that Pine Island area. Sorry if I'm talking over Storm Chaser, by the way.
Good now.
Okay. And also, I just wanted to, I think something a lot of people will relate to again is that we can see all of the birds in the eye of Hurricane Ian right now, showing up on the Tampa Bay radar as the eye moves inland. It's amazing to see, like, the birds are still continuing to seek refuge, and as they get stuck in the middle of the eye. I'm wondering if once the eye reaches the location of our storm chasers in the Punta Gorda area, that they'll be able to see birds if they look up. We'll be able to show you guys from our storm chasers what the inside of this eye of Hurricane Ian looks like, what the inside of a major hurricane looks like. So if you're just watching, and you don't have anyone or any loved ones in the area, make sure you're liking the stream so that we can reach more people that may be looking for information with people in this area. And otherwise, we've got some really cool stuff to show you about it outside of the, of course, dreadful impacts that we are covering.
All right. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, so on radar, you can see that there are, like Andy was talking about, birds in the eye taking refuge, taking shelter from the storm. I think it will be actually kind of interesting to see what that looks like whenever the eye makes it over where our chasers are, which once again should be soon. So I'm honestly like on the edge of my seat, like I can't wait for the eye to come over them. It's kind of nerve-wracking to watch. I know these guys. A lot of these guys are my friends, and they're right here next to the eye wall of this, really strong, damaging storm. And they're also literally just, it almost feels like inches away from just clear blue sunny skies. So I'm hoping the storm gets to move on a little bit and they get in the eye and we can kind of take a break for the most part and kind of show some of the more interesting and cool aspects of the storm. But right now they are going through it, son, in the middle of, once again, some 100-mile-an-hour plus wind gusts. Here's a look from Storm Chaser Chris Hall. And as you can tell, every update that we get from him, things look worse and worse. And that's just going to continue to be the case until right up before they get in the eye, and then everything just kind of goes quiet and calm for the most part. So that's what it's looking like there. That's more than likely what it looks like in Northport, Venice, all the way over to Rotonda, and all these places. Anybody that's along the actual eye wall here is experiencing similar conditions right now. Unfortunately, it's even worse to the south because we have the added impact of the storm surge down there near Fort Myers Beach, Cape Coral, and Bonita Springs. So, of course, there's a lot of imagery and video and stuff that we've shown on that, and we will continue to show it. But for the most part, right now, our job is to let people know what's happening, where this storm is making landfall. I know we've got a lot of people that are tuning in that likely evacuated. They just want to know what it's like, what's happening back at home, and hopefully this gives you an idea as to what's going on. This is really close to Port Charlotte. The same thing that you're seeing here through these cameras. This is what it's like in Northport, This is what it's like in Fort Myers, but in Fort Myers there's devastating, flood going on, especially down there towards Fort Myers Beach and Cape Coral. But for the most part, the winds, this is the extent of it right here. It's going to get stronger. We're going to see this kind of get more intense the closer we get to the actual center of the eye. But this is the hurricane conditions that we're experiencing right now. Just really intense winds, as you can see here through Storm Chaser Brad Arnold's feed. It looks like we've got more imagery coming in from Fort Myers Beach once again of the just insane storm surge that's coming in. Look at that. Not only is the water level high, but it's rough. So you've got damaging waves on top of the really high storm surge that's happening there, and that's going on now in Fort Myers Beach. Okay. And by the way, thank you so much to everyone who has sent me pictures of downtown Fort Myers. We're relaying all of that information to our storm chasers so they know what it looks like and whether or not they should either go there or stay where they are whenever the eye of the storm gets over them. If you're just now tuning in, this is live severe weather coverage. We are talking about Hurricane Ian, major Category 4. Hurricane Ian making landfall here with catastrophic impacts, especially around the Fort Myers Beach area. The main thing that's happening right now is we are seeing widespread coastal flooding as a result of storm surge of historic proportions, and that has led to just some really heartbreaking photos and videos that we've seen. The reason this is happening specifically around the Fort Myers Beach area is because the Gulf of Mexico is literally being flung into land here because of the angle of approach from this hurricane. This is making landfall a lot farther south than almost any forecast was suggesting. Originally, a couple days ago, I'm sure the people of Tampa remember, this is maybe going to go up through Tampa, and then we thought, maybe it's going to come up this way. And then, even as early as this morning, we were expecting maybe a direct landfall there in Northport. It looks like it's going even farther south than that, so that puts Fort Myers.
What's up, more money?
How
Sorry, I didn't see you come in.
Concave area of beach is literally accepting all of that water as it comes in. This flow is going right into the bend of the beach there, which is going to promote the excess water compounding and all of the water inundation that's happening there, causing the really horrific flooding that's going on around Fort Myers Beach. And here's another thing, once again, Floridians, the spirit of Floridians it's admirable. I love it. And we've got people out there who are trying their best to make light out of a really bad situation. We got people out there swimming around in this water. I think it's important, and I think it's important to say that you shouldn't do that. Now, obviously, you know that, but this is water is more than likely contaminated. It's probably not you probably don't want to submerge your body in it. Okay, if you're lucky enough to have, a shelter and you're able to get away from it, and you can go play around in it, as tempting as that might be, I definitely would not recommend it. But still, very captivating, video there from Snapchat, apparently. And it looks like we have an official statement of landfall. Let me make sure I'm looking at that right. Let's see here. It has officially made landfall. Doppler radar imagery indicates that the Eye of Ian made landfall along the southwestern coast of Florida.
We got entire houses coming across the road, Ryan. Entire houses.
And that was just moments ago. So we'll check in on that here in a second. Let's check in on Vince. Sounds like we have, he said, entire houses going across the road. Once again, he's in a hurricane. So internet connectivity is going to be a little bit slow, but you can tell that things are definitely going south there where he is, which is south of Punta Gorda. We're having a hard time maintaining a connection with him, but you can tell that he is really close to Burnt Store Marina, and there's a debris flying around out there. He's saying that he's seeing, possibly houses being, kind of damaged by this hurricane force winds. that comes through. So we're going to keep an eye on him. And probably the best thing to do is just to keep this multi-view up where we're looking at all of the different Storm Chasers feeds, and then just kind of zoom into the ones that are maybe promoting the so some more interesting attributes. But yeah, lots of damage happening there near Burnt Store Marina, where Vince Welty is right now. This is a broad view, by the way. If you're looking at the big blob of red and yellow and green down there, it's a kind of a wide view of the location of the hurricane as seen from infrared satellite. We're going to continue to see this thing slowly move across the state of Florida today. It's nowhere near over. I don't know how long we've been going. Feel like, yeah, I have no idea how long we've been streaming, but we're going to keep going for even longer. See here. Okay, 5.5 hours. Wow, that was a 5.5 hours. So we'll probably go for another 5.5 hours today, continuing to relay information on this storm. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for putting your trust in me, some guy on YouTube, to deliver this information to you. I hope we're doing a good job. Just do me a favor, in order to make sure that we get this vital information out to as many people as possible. Just hit the like button on YouTube like you would for a normal YouTube video. It tells them that it's worth pushing us to the next person who may be in need of getting this information, who normally doesn't pay attention to the government alerts or doesn't watch the regular news. Maybe we can get the point across to them and relay stuff like this. For example, just 10 minutes ago, we had a new extreme wind warning issued for Port Charlotte all the way up to Arcadia. Okay, Fort Myers Shores, Venice, Northport, all these places are included in this. And guys, 1.2 million people now under an extreme wind warning, which is I mean, it's a dangerous situation. It's a rare warning. It's not every day that you see an extreme wind warning issued in the entire United States. It's usually only reserved for the strongest hurricanes. So that's what we're seeing now for all of these areas. Please move to an interior room now. Treat this as if it's a tornado. Treat this as if it's a tornado. Okay? Take shelter. If you didn't evacuate, if you stayed behind, get to the lowest, most sturdy and interior room of whatever building you're in, but also try to make sure that it's also going to be safe from flooding. And then barricade yourself with as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. This is essentially going to be a long-lasting tornado that's over your area for the next several hours. So hunker down. Make sure that you are listening and you're understanding the forecast. You're listening to the local alerts and everything. And just we'll get through this together. It'll be several hours of this intense storm, but it will eventually be over. Yeah, major thanks to everybody that's tuning in. I see that we have a lot of people watching, and I really appreciate you guys helping to spread the word. I see you guys sharing us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. The definition of a grassroots effort to spread information here. I think that we're doing a great job. Couldn't do it without y'all, so thank you. Let's see here. Video from Brandon Kopic. This is a couple minutes ago before things got even more intense. This is near Port Charlotte. Wow. One of many videos that we'll unfortunately see like that today. Looks like to me that these guys, they should be getting close to getting out of some of the more intense damaging wind zones. Once again, I can't wait for them to be in the eye of the storm, but it might take us a while to get there because of just how slow the thing is moving. And speaking of the slow-moving nature of this storm, it's going to pose another threat. Not only is it going to extend the potential damage and the time frame for damage that we're going to see down here in Fort Myers, But we are also going to see a tremendous amount of rain on the northern side of this. We're already starting to see a lot of flash flood warnings get issued in Florida. I really do think that by the time this is all said and done, I know that this is a bad, hurricane. The wind damage is going to be bad. It's going to take a long time to clean up from this. But the number one story, the number one thing people are going to take away from this, and what we will remember this by, is the flooding. First of all, the flooding obviously along the coast, like in Fort Myers. The devastation down there is probably going to be just heartbreaking. But there's going to be a lot of flooding that happens on the northern side of the circulation as well, from Tampa all the way up through Daytona Beach. And in some places, now, I don't know for sure, obviously we're going to watch this unfold, but in some places that flooding will probably also be in some ways catastrophic. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that if you live in a flood-prone area, you need to take this one seriously.
What's wrong, Budgie?
Hurricane Ian has officially made landfall.
Well, guys.
Just a little bit of an update here from the National Hurricane Center. In Miami, Florida, Hurricane Ian, extremely dangerous, Category 4, Hurricane Ian makes landfall in southwestern Florida.
Come on,
NOAA Doppler radar imagery indicates that the eye of Ian made landfall on the southwestern coast of Florida near
Flash
Coast
flood warning for Charlotte, Manatee, Sarasota, CO.
and then at 3:05 p.m. Eastern. Okay, and then data from an Air Force Reserve reconnaissance aircraft indicate that Ian's maximum sustained winds were estimated to be near 150 miles per hour. The latest minimum central pressure estimated from reconnaissance data is 940 millibars. So that's kind of the summary of information from the last NHC update there. And it's officially made landfall. Hurricane Ian is here. But the thing is, usually in other hurricanes that I've watched, usually it makes landfall, and then the next several hours are pretty rough around the eye wall, but we get a rapid de-intensification. It starts to weaken dramatically, and that is going to happen here with this storm. But the weakening phase is going to take a while. All right. This is still forecasted to be promoting or putting out damaging winds, potentially major hurricane level winds, all the way up to almost to Arcadia, Florida. So we're going to see widespread damage from this hurricane, not only in the places where it's getting slammed right now, but in a path that goes much farther inland. So Arcadia, Palmdale, let's see here, Northport, Limestone, all these areas, you've got to prepare now for damaging winds to kind of take over the scenery as we go forward. I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. This storm is one of the slowest moving storms I've ever seen, but it will eventually get there. And then you'll see conditions similar to what we can see right now through Brad Arnold's camera, which is just, once again, a very intense view of the inside of this hurricane. He's right in the middle of the eye wall at this point, giving us all the latest updates there. Biggest recorded, Andy, if you could in the background try to put together a list of some of the official recorded wind gusts and the locations, if we can get maybe somebody to do that and I could list them off. But I want to go through that and kind of maybe point it on the map where that's happening. And he's also just sent me a GIF of the satellite, a high quality one. Look at this. Here is Hurricane Ian over the past several hours, the visible satellite loop. Cloud cover is filling into the eye, it looks like. So we might not actually have clear blue skies in the eye here whenever it makes it over the storm chasers. But it's still going to be quite the difference from what we're seeing right now through these cameras. It's going to go from really bad to not much as soon as that eye comes over land. So we'll see that happen here very, very soon. But just another incredible view of the hurricane, by the way. It's a monster of a storm, and it's been quite the experience watching all of this unfold. We started tracking this one, I don't know, well over a week ago, and here we are. It's
What's up,
finally
D?
on US
Walt Money,
land.
Michael
Hopefully
Hauser.
we'll be done talking about it sooner or later.
Shout out to the 2 people in chat, man.
Once again, more videos coming out of Fort Myers.
Karina, thank you.
This is the Fort
Yes, I'm
Myers
up now.
area. This is like just shocking. Look at this. These are people like on the 2nd or 3rd stories of their homes or their buildings, wherever they are, and just boats are flying by them, son. I mean, can you imagine being in that situation? That is nuts. So that's what's going on there in Fort Myers Beach. Obviously, there's a lot of other kind of situations unfolding as well. We still have the ongoing tornado watch. We still have the hurricane watch that goes all the way up the east coast or up to the South Carolina coast. But the main thing that we've got to focus on right now is the storm surge and start trying to fill people in on what's going on, because I know that we've got a lot of concerned family members and friends that have people that stayed behind in Fort Myers Beach, Naples, and Bonita Springs, and they're going to want info on what happened and what's going on, and that's going to become a big part of what I'm doing as we go forward, is relaying that news. Looks like now 700,000 people are without power in Florida. We're slowly approaching that million mark, and once we get there, I don't think it's going to stop. I think we're going to see possibly several million people without power in Florida. So if you still have power, if you can hear me, you still have power, please prepare for a power outage. Whatever you've got to do to prepare.
You hear what he said?
Get
Be
ready.
prepared for it. It's gonna.
Just make sure that you've got batteries charged. A lot of times, as you can see through our storm chaser feeds, even when power goes out, we maintain cell service for a little while. So make sure that you've got your tablet, your phone, anything that can get a cell service, a signal. Make sure you've got that completely charged so that if power goes out, you can still get information. That's really important. So if you've got, I know everybody keeps their phone charged, but if you've got another device that has any sort of ability to connect to the internet via cellular data, make sure that's charged as well. Hurricane Ian is going to tie with Charlie for the strongest hurricane by maximum sustained wind to make landfall in Florida on record. So it looks like this is going to come in 4th place, the 4th strongest hurricane to ever make landfall in Florida in recorded history, with maximum sustained winds of 150 miles an hour. And there's a table on Twitter I can share with you guys that shows all 15 of the Category 4 and 5 storms that have ever made landfall on record. So the only ones that are more intense than this one is going to be Hurricane Michael, 2018, Hurricane Andrew in 1992, and the Labor Day storm of 1935. So that's not. It's crazy to put it in that perspective. That is one of the strongest storms. This is one of the strongest storms that has ever hit Florida. Top 4 to be exact. And it's not over. It's still going to be causing problems for the next several hours. As we continue to see conditions deteriorate for a lot of our storm chasers, especially Bryce Shelton, who looks to be in some of the more intense winds right now. It looks like a lot of our other storm chasers, including Brad Arnold, have made it up to the top of a parking garage. Looks like Chris Hall and Brandon Kopic are near a gas station. And what we should see, what we will likely see here over the next little bit, is the wind starting to die down. Okay, as they get closer to the eye, conditions should get better for them here, and then they'll make the decision as to whether or not they're going to move to try to get in a better position to maybe get down there closer to Fort Myers Beach, or sit in the same spot, or follow the eye, and whatever they're going to do, they're going to make that decision whenever the eye.
Hey, what's up, East Bay?
In just a little bit.
Susan, how you doing, guys?
So this is a live look at Bryce Shelton near Port
Hey,
Charlotte,
dude,
Florida.
this is not me, man. This is
Still really intense right now.
Florida Profit Hunter is live, man. Why, thank you. What's up, man?
This is another video being sent in from Naples, Florida.
I'm up now, man.
Naples and Fort Myers Beach seem to be the hardest hit areas.
Look at some of these pictures, man. He's coming, showing y'all, man.
Flooding in Naples. It seems like Fort Myers, we're seeing more of
Look
like
at that shit,
violent
man.
winds in combination with the flooding. But Naples, obviously they're getting strong winds too, but it's mostly just the flooding. So they're just getting the residual storm surge down there, whereas the center of the storm is closer to Fort Myers Beach, and they are getting the crazy.
How is everybody doing, man?
Flooding on top of that.
Florida, if you are listening, anybody in Florida, any of my scratching families in Florida, anybody that's in Florida,
Coral,
period.
I know we've got a bunch of people watching right now in Cape Coral. You guys are also in a very similar situation as our storm chasers, and things are going to start getting a little bit quieter there in the next little bit. You guys are going to be in the eye here. Hopefully that lasts for an hour or so to give us all a breather. Here's another look at a very up-close look at the eye of this storm as it's making landfall southwest of Port Charlotte. Notice how the center of the eye was completely clear, literally sun shining down into the center of it, until it's gotten to where it is right now. It's starting, some of the upper levels are starting to fill in with some cloud cover. So I don't know if we'll be able to see the stadium effect.
What,
any of that from our storm
East Bay,
chasers.
I'm in
Definitely
Texas, man.
Be able to
I'm in
put
Texas,
the eye
man.
together as it comes through within the next 30 minutes or so. Also, as Andy was talking about earlier, we're seeing on radar that there's a bunch of birds in the eye of this storm that have literally taken shelter in the eye and are flying along with it. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
This
with
is
that
just
as
updates, man, for people that are in Florida, man.
those come into the area where Brandon.
I gotta do a video, man, so they could.
Are right now. What else do we have here? Yes, I see a lot of people asking that has it made landfall. Yes, it has officially made landfall.
It's officially made landfall, guys.
It is now on land. And
On
will
land.
probably stay that way all the way until it makes it back into the Atlantic Ocean on the other side of Florida sometime, a long time from now. This thing's going to take its time as it treks across Florida. What happens from there will be interesting. This is still going way farther south than any of the forecast models depicted. So the farther south that it hit Florida, I believe maybe that correlated with a more easterly trajectory out into the Atlantic before it recurves. We'll look at some forecast models in a little bit to see if that's the case. But as of right now, I'm not 100% sure exactly what the forecast is for Georgia and South Carolina, because we've been so hyper-focused on the southwestern Florida. Once again, some terrible pictures coming in. We will look at Florida and South Carolina and Georgia before too long, though. I promise you that. But here's some of the photos coming in from Fort Myers Beach. Got cars floating down the street. This is at that Diamond Head Beach Resort.
This is
So
to all my
that's
people
one
out
of,
in Florida.
the really
On
unfortunate
this video,
situations that we've
please,
seen.
if you guys are
Of course,
okay
I
and you
believe
watch
as
this,
as the
please
storm
leave a
lets up, as it
comment
becomes
telling
less
me you
intense, we'll
guys
start
are
seeing more,
okay.
Unfortunate news
Please,
stories about
this
stuff
is
like
for
that.
all the scratching community, anybody out there that's
Okay,
on my channel that's in
gonna read you
Florida.
off some,
Man,
recorded
this storm is
wind
getting
gusts.
worse. Man, it's
Captiva,
now on
I believe I'm
land
saying that right, recorded
as
26
of
mile-an-hour winds. Pelican
11,
Bay,
2
we
something
got,
p.m. Central Standard
112
Time,
mile-an-hour winds.
3 something
Punta Rassa,
Eastern Standard Time.
107, Punta
If
Gorda,
you are
106, Cape Coral, 101,
a part of my channel,
Southwest Cape Coral,
scratching
99,
community or otherwise,
and then
please give me an update on how you guys are doing on this
80-mile-an-hour
video.
wind gust.
Please, I love you all, man. I'm worried about you. There's a lot of people that are worried about you guys. Please, if you can comment on this video to let us know that you are all right, I would appreciate that. We love you guys, and we
your location. If you're
hope you guys are okay
you're in Arcadia, for example.
with whatever part of Florida you're in,
Probably doesn't feel
or the
that bad
East
right
Coast
now,
you're
30,
in.
40, 50
Please
mile an hour
give
wind
me a comment
Whenever
on this
this part of
video.
the storm gets to you, that's when you're going to start seeing the 100-mile-an-hour plus winds coming through, even that far inland. Yes, Arcadia, you're going to see some similar from the storm as they did right along the coastline, because this thing, as you can tell, I mean, it's probably going to start weakening here, but for the most part, this is still a very strong hurricane that's going to come right up into Arcadia. Same thing, Lake Placid.
I'm uploading that video now, guys.
You know, it's not going to completely fall apart before it gets to you, and there will be widespread damaging winds associated with this as it comes through. Let's see. Another picture coming in from Marco Island, Florida. Andrea sent this one in. And as you can see, just really significant flooding going on there. Thankfully, a lot of these buildings that we've seen anyways have a second floor. And we're not forcing the people that stayed behind up onto their roofs, as you see in a lot of situations like this. Not saying that that's not happening, but for the most part, everybody's had somewhere to go from what we've seen. More pictures coming in from Fort Myers Beach, and here that are sending these to us. So I imagine what it's like to be in your all's position. I hope that you guys are okay. I hope that the water starts going down soon.
Yes.
This is on the second floor as the water started to come up there in the Fort.
Second floor, man. Look at that shit, man.
Unbelievable stuff. And yeah, anybody that's just now tuning in, I can tell anytime I glance at chat, I always see somebody asking a question that I just answered. That's part of this thing where like people are constantly filtering in and out. Yes, Hurricane Ian has made landfall. It's still an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane, and we are going to be live with you here for the next several hours, continuing to provide updates for you with our storm chasers, with meteorologist Andy Hill, and with you guys on Twitter, helping send me stuff and giving me information to pass along to everybody else. Thank you for being here. Here's another broad, wide view of this beast of a storm. Hurricane Ian is this big, and yes, it's parts of it can be visible. You know, some of the exhausting moisture is going all the way up to the North Pole, and you can see the interaction with the cold front that it's having here. That's one of the things that it's kind of steered it to the south a little bit, and possibly even has kept it from being even stronger than what it became. Is this big area of cool, dry air that's sinking down like this. If you live back in Kentucky, Tennessee, back here, you know what I'm talking about. I came into the weather studio this morning in a golf cart, and I just about froze to death. And it's cool, it's dry, and that air mass is working against the hurricane down here. But once again, not much of, you know, it didn't help much because we still Category 4.
Look how far that's at Cape Coral,
in Florida, which we can see here live on the radar.
Northport.
Hurricane hunters, here's some pictures from the latest mission. This is what it looked like inside the eye. Actually, this might have been from yesterday. Yeah, this was from yesterday. We showed this yesterday. The stadium effect, what we were talking about there with Andy earlier,
Hello?
is when you're in the middle of the eye and you can look around
Hello?
100 or 360 degrees, and it looks like you're just in a big coliseum, a big stadium. The
Hello?
clouds are like the bleachers or where the audience would be. Just an incredible view there from hurricane hunters, and you guys are super brave, man. flying into the most intense storms on Earth in a plane on purpose, simply to, get information that we can use to better forecast. Lucky to have a system like that in place.
Okay, man, look, man. My video is up.
To all my people out in Florida, on this video, please, if you guys are okay and you watch this, please leave a comment telling me you guys are okay. Please, this is for all the scratching community, anybody out there that's on my channel that's in Florida. Man, the storm is getting worse. Man, it's now on land. As of 11 to something p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 something Eastern Standard Time. If you are a part of my channel, scratching community or otherwise, please give me an update on how you guys are doing on this video. Please, I love you all, man. I'm worried about you. There's a lot of people that are worried about you guys. Please, if you can comment on this video to let us know that you are all right, I would appreciate that. We love you guys, and we hope you guys are okay. With whatever part of Florida you're in, or the East Coast you're in, please give.
The area of Punta Gorda has been reporting 100+ mile-per-hour wind gusts. So, and that's still ongoing as of right now. And you're seeing it with the palm tree swing in the storm chaser scene when Ryan goes back to that. So I just wanted you to know, like, literally an hour and a half of those intense winds in the vicinity of Highwall. But actually, if you could believe it, the primary impact of a hurricane is not the extreme winds, and even sometimes in the localized area of landfall, but rather it's the flooding that is the number one thing to worry about in a hurricane, which is why the Weather Prediction Center has issued high risks, so the highest outlook level that they could issue for excessive rainfall and thus flash flooding risks throughout the Florida Peninsula, the northern half of the Florida Peninsula for the coming couple days.
Right. And I'm seeing a lot of questions in chat, and I just want your opinion on this. So far, from what we can tell, the highest wind gust that's been officially recorded is 126 miles an hour, but this is a 155-mile-an-hour category for a hurricane. Are those winds just not being recorded? Are they on the other side of the eye wall? What do you think is going on there?
So 155 mile an hour whenever it is reported is legitimately the strongest estimate primarily from the flights that are going through, the recon flights that pilots are going through and dropping meteorological instruments into the eye wall and into the center of the storm to record data. And when they hit those wind speeds a lot, there is not as much friction up there, so winds are allowed to flow freely, and they do so more intensely than the actual hurricane forecasting in that conversion center. So sometimes these pilots are reporting 165, 170 miles an hour just above the surface as their meteorological instruments fall to the ground. And so the National Hurricane Center takes these measurements and then reduces it by a known ratio, known to be skillful, to estimate the peak wind speed that could occur at the surface. Typically, you're going to see that on the eastern side of a hurricane, because if it's traveling to the north, then it's going to be the wind speed that you experience will be the storm moving forward, and also the winds rotating around it. So they're summed on the eastern side, and then you subtract the northern movement on the western side of the circulation. So I would expect that you would feel the probable 140, 150 mile an hour wind gusts that could happen with Hurricane Ian on the eastern side in a very localized area right in the eyeball. So it's actually tough to get those sort of wind speeds, but the fact that we have seen 126 mile per hour wind gusts reported in Captiva is pretty impressive to me all the time.
Thank you very much. Meteorologist Andy Hill.
Hey Ryan, just a quick update. Still in the Iowa and Port Charlotte, from behind cover, just measured 110 mile an hour gust.
Okay, so Storm Chaser Brandon Kopic just measured a 110 mile an hour gust up there near Port Charlotte, Florida, which is definitely one of the more intense readings that we've seen from our storm chasers. We'll learn a lot more about what's happened and what everything that's went on during the height of the storm as time goes on. But I imagine that there's probably going to be an area, more than likely, just to the northwest of Fort Myers Beach, up towards Fort Myers and South Punta Gorda Heights and the Burnt Store Marina and places like Pineland that likely saw some of the higher wind gusts. And we'll probably see, as the storm chasers are kind of traversing through that eye to the south, we'll probably see the extent of that damage. I've got some other things to show you here. This is the Cigar Hut in downtown Fort Myers Beach about an hour ago. So another look at the major storm surge that came through Fort Myers Beach. Obviously, we've seen that from just about every angle. This is right now, or just a few moments ago anyways, in Port Charlotte from a traffic camera as deadly winds were moving through with Hurricane Ian. There's trees all over the highway. There's trees in the interstate. It's just a mess out there right now. And it's a wonder that that thing is still transmitting a signal and still recording. As you can see, the winds are obviously incredibly strong right there in Port Charlotte, which is close to where Brad Arnold is right now. We're still seeing a lot of that damage, and a lot of those winds are still moving through. I think that I can actually see through Brad's camera here that the winds
Ryan,
are
another update. A meteorologist for WIP. I don't think my radar mega unit cyclone port is working right now, but we just got a pressure drop of 937 millibars right now. 937.
Wow, 937 millibars pressure read there, right where Storm Chaser Brandon Kopic is, which is lower than the official estimate. But anyways, I think that these guys are getting really close to being at the edge of the eye wall and inside of the eye, because if you watch the winds here, if you watch the trees whip around, you can see that the wind direction is almost seemingly changing erratically. And that tends to be something that happens right before you get past the inner eye wall and you get into the more calm conditions in the eye. So that is what's going on there. Let's zoom out, look at all the Storm Chasers cameras, and continue to relay some of this incredible footage that we're getting in from Fort Myers. I know we've got a lot of people watching, once again, with family members and friends in this
Well,
area.
actually, I ain't got to be to work until 5 today.
A lot of this, like videos like this happened about 30 minutes to 45 minutes ago. So I'm waiting to see some more updated views of what's going on in Fort Myers. But it is my estimation that it's probably something sort of similar, because they're still getting that southwest to northeast flow from the ocean. So we're still seeing that water inundation there in this area. And
Hey Shelly, how you doing, hon?
Bonita Springs and Naples at this point, as the storm continues to move east.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Right, and another view from Chris Hall. As the winds are really whipping and getting a lot stronger there on the edge of the eye wall where he is near Port Charlotte. And then just a little bit of humor to lighten the mood, which is what Rocky for the Win said. I don't think this is very funny. I am personally very sad about the loss of Dominator 4. If you guys are unsure of what we're looking at here, this is Reed Timmer's car, the one that he's had for years. He's driven it through tornadoes. I mean, this thing has just been through the ringer, but it looks like it may finally have bitten the dust here in Hurricane Ian, as it was washed out into the bay a little bit by storm surge where Reed Timmer was chasing this hurricane. So, I don't know. It might be salvageable, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Dominator 4 is getting a saltwater bath. But that thing has been through, once again, just about...
I'll keep you in my prayers, Shelly.
Maybe.
You're on the prayer list, son.
Maybe the Dominator 4 will ride again. And of course, I want to really quickly just say thanks to all the support. I know we got families watching, not only in Florida, but around the world. Thank you guys for, once again, putting your trust in me and coming to some guy here on the internet to handle this delivery of vital information to you. I think we're doing a great job. Once again, it's not just me. We got a team of people behind me. We got meteorologists.
I'm in the eye, Ryan,
We've
but
got storm chasers.
not a clear eye. I can't actually see it.
We've got,
Big pressure
a lot, and you guys that help propagate all of this and allow it to happen. Vince is saying that he's in the eye.
Big pressure ball.
He's got the pressure fall. Let's actually go into the Radar Omega app and see if we can't.
Holy
look at,
shit, look how big that motherfucker is, man.
This is instrumentation there.
What, thank you. What's up, man?
Once again, I'm going to switch over to this. And one of the really cool thing about Radar Omega is you can see Vince, like our storm chasers, you can see their icons here inside the app, and you can just click on it or tap on it with your finger on your phone and pull up his information. Look at that. Yeah, big pressure drop. He's down to 950 millibars there with a temperature of 79.3 degrees Fahrenheit. 949. It's going down. It's going down significantly as he is almost in the center of the eye, it seems like, here inside of this storm. Pull up his camera. Let's pull up his camera real quick and see if we can't see what's going on. And unfortunately, well, thankfully, things are calm in there, but we're not able to see much. We're not able to see a whole lot.
Oh, man, sorry to hear that.
The traditional stuff you would look for in the eye of the storm, because there is a lot of cloud cover that has kind of taken over in the eye. So things are calming down. Things are definitely, on a downtrend as far as the intensity goes here. But wow, look at that. But we're not able to see the full extent of the eye. But
you'll get it hard, no problem.
Remember, if you live here where
he's in Utah, where are you guys trying to get him to?
You're breathing a sigh of relief. That's great. But it's important to know that it's going to come back. The other side of the eye, the other side of the storm is still going to come through here, and we're going to get right back into those hurricane force wind gusts, 100-mile-an-hour winds, and that could last for another several hours before the storm completely moves out. So that's what's going on there. And of course, even though the eye of the storm is moving into the Port Charlotte area, the Rotonda West area, and the Cape Coral area, the Fort Myers, even though that's happening, it doesn't mean anything to all the people that we have watching right now in Venice Gardens, Northport, Sidell, Fort Ogden, Hull, all the way up towards Arcadia, because they are still experiencing the 100-mile-an-hour plus wind gusts that are occurring with this storm right here. So from Port Charlotte, points north, it's still a real big mess. It's still a real bad storm. But just to the south, we're starting to see the eye come through. And Vince is in it, and our other storm chasers will be in it here in a very short period of time. But right now, storm chaser Brad Arnold is still getting some of those really high wind gusts coming through, as you can see here on the camera. I'm going to go through Twitter again. I'm going to look through as many different resources as I can. Give you guys an update. We've got an update from Task Force 1. So here's something. Obviously, it's unfortunate that we even need this, but it's a positive story in some light. That Task Force 1 has been deployed to the state of Florida in anticipation of major Hurricane Ian's landfall. They've loaded down with supplies and boats and rescue equipment. And so, if people need help, obviously there's groups like this and lots of them that are already in place ready to help people if that's needed. So that's always a good thing. And of course, our storm chasers, if needed, are going to be able to help people as well. As I will personally, any resources that are needed, if we need to buy something, if we need to buy a bunch of something, I'll just give them my credit card number. We'll make it happen, and we will, if it's needed, we will make sure that anything that needs to be taken care of is taken care of down there in Florida. It looks like probably the most impacted area, the place that's got the most damage and negative impacts from this storm is probably going to be down there near Fort Myers Beach, to be honest. We're still yet to see what's going to unfold as this continues to cause big-time wind damage from Fort Ogden up through Arcadia, but that will probably not be as bad as the overall flood damage that we saw down here to the south a little bit. So, yeah, thanks to everybody who's sending me pictures on Twitter of you watching this stream. I appreciate that. I love the support. This is like an incredibly, overwhelmingly positive community overall. So happy to have you here. Happy to be in this position. Unfortunate circumstances, but there's nowhere I'd rather be than right here, sitting in front of these monitors and relaying this information. If you guys don't know, I do this all year long round, and no matter what it is, tornado outbreaks, blizzards, hurricanes, whatever it is, this is what I do. I drop everything, and I'll sit here and I'll talk, and I'll talk to storm chasers. We'll relay information till the sun goes down for hours and hours a day. And then when the weather's not bad, I'll get out of your face. I ain't gonna come around and do the here's the weekend forecast if it's sunny. That's not me. We are here whenever we feel like we're needed. Whenever you need more than the weather app on your phone. So a little bit of an update on the future track. A little bit of an update on the future track of this storm. It looks like it is going to try to cut across Florida. By the way, this is some of the newer ensembles from the Euro model. It is going to try to cut across Florida. How quickly it does that is going to greatly determine the strength that it's going to have as it comes back over the Atlantic and then recurves back up towards South Carolina and Georgia. Okay? So
Go back to our coverage with our Fox teams. Going to take you on to Fox 35 as they're taking a look in on our Fox weather teams.
The kind of substantial shelter that we're having to hide under. The Fox Weather Beast, Chris, I'm going to spring you for a surprise and just show you. This vehicle is a massive vehicle, but it just continues to really rock back and forth under the weight of all of this wind, these wind gusts that come through here. And as we look out into the street, I've been watching, and this was something we were pointing out from the beginning of our coverage of how well these traffic lights are even going to be able to hold up. You can tell all this is well constructed, meant to be able to withstand a storm, but necessarily not a storm like this. Not necessarily, I should say, a storm like this. And you're seeing these traffic lights, just the ones that are still there, try to hold on, dangling on, but we have at least 3 of them that have crashed in the roadway. And I don't know if you've ever been up close with a traffic signal, but they are very heavy. And so not only have they crashed down, but the weight, the force of the wind has pushed them out of the way of the road.
So remember, the faster it goes across Florida, the more likely it is that that's going to be a stronger storm over there. If it stays over Florida for a long time, it could be a situation where it weakens enough to where we don't have to worry about it that much. Oh, more incredible video coming in from the Fort Myers Beach area from some of the people who had to stay behind. Wow.
Look at that, man.
Definitely some of the hardest hit areas up there in the Fort Myers Beach zone. And if you, a lot of these pictures and videos, I've shared it multiple times. So if you want to see all that stuff, it's on the Twitter there. Here's an update from Vince Welty. Let's get an update from our good friend, Storm Chaser Vince Welty here.
Here's a bit of an update. As you can hear from the wind, we're getting into the line right now. We've got pressure down around 950 millibars. It's gotten a lot calmer than it was. Precipitation is free now. We're south of Punta Gorda near Fern. Conditions are improving a little bit here. A lot of damage has been done. In fact, a lot of it's been captured on the live stream. A lot of homes being ripped apart. It's a very sad situation here. Lots of surrounding areas of flooding. You can see behind me, we've had some minor flooding problems, but it's pretty much freshwater flooding. We haven't had a whole lot of storm surge down here in this area, but the elevation here is about 12, 15 feet, which is helping a lot. The live stream, the radar on my app, collecting data. Pressure up there, pressure, wind speed, all that. We're measuring the pressure fault right now, and of course on YouTube. All right, everybody, here's a bit of an update.
Storm chaser Vince Welty with an update there. As things are calming down for now where he is. Things are not calming down, though, in Arcadia. Places like Sandy, Pine Level, Shiningtown, Venice, all these places in Florida are getting ready to go through the same thing that our storm chasers just went through there in Port Charlotte that ultimately led to scenes like this. So things are calming down now because they're in the eye, but the storm that produced the damage is now working up to the north and east towards those areas. Just keep that in mind. I know that we're all kind of letting out a sigh of relief here because it feels like something's coming to an end for us because all of our storm chasers are now in the eye. But for somebody else, this is just starting, and this is going to go on for a while. And of course, you know, it wouldn't be Ryan Hall Y'all stream if we didn't show Barry Bones. If you guys don't know Barry Bones, he's tuning into every single of one of our live streams, and this dog like actually watches. Barry Bones is actually concerned about the weather, and it looks like Barry Bones is worried to bits today. But don't worry, Barry. Things will get better. Things will get better. The storm is going to. It's not just going to go away, but it will slowly weaken as time goes on. Here. The National Hurricane Center.
Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate you guys, man.
Incredible job with this storm. From several days ago, when this was Tropical Depression 9, they issued, you know, the first advisory for the storm that would become Ian, and they forecasted that this storm would make landfall almost exactly where it did today. But over time, the forecast did shift a little bit. It went to the north, went to the south, but the first ever advisory did have the storm making landfall pretty literally exactly where it did today. So that's huge props, big kudos to the meteorologists at the National Hurricane Center who have guided us all through this.
Thank you, Shelley. Appreciate it. I need prayers for you, keeping you in my prayers.
But once again, I do want to reiterate that this it's not over. We still have the tornado watch that's in effect for 12 million people.
Ryan, we just had 2 crane collapses into the building over here. 2 crane collapses. The big industrial crane.
So it sounds like things are still pretty intense over here where Brandon Coppock is, where apparently we had 2 crane collapse, 2 crane collapses right there where they were. Let's ask him, is it the same cranes that we were looking at earlier on your guys' feet? Because those were massive. Those were big.
Yes, it was. One just collapsed and just fell into the building. The other one went right behind it. We have 2 out of the 4 that have completely collapsed.
My God. All right, so we're going to keep updated with our storm chasers. Even though they're really close to being in the eye, there's still those big gusts that are coming through and obviously doing damage. So, wow. So I'm reading an update right now from one of the storm chasers who's out here in this storm. And there's no video that goes along with it, but just reading this was kind of crazy to see. This is a pretty well-known storm chaser, Warren. He's reporting that he got sucked into a drain vortex, and the only thing that saved him was his inflatable vest. And I guess that's his vow to no longer go out and try to chase storm surge. But once again, the reason I like to show stuff like that is because this is a trained, this is like this is a storm chaser. It's what he does. But still, he ended up in a position where he almost lost his life. And he had protective tools. If you don't have those things, you shouldn't be outside. And the only reason I say that is because we're still getting reports of people who are apparently trying to go outside and make light of the situation. We also just got a crane collapsing, into a construction building over there where Brandon and Chris are. I'm sure that they'll send a video of that at some point. Still getting a lot of videos and pictures from Fort Myers and flooding down there. And this is an incredible video from space of Hurricane Ian from, I guess this is from the International Space Station as it passed over storm not too long ago. Unbelievable. It really is that massive. Bigger than the entire state of Florida. And some of the outer bands are kind of going all the way up towards the eastern coast of the U.S. So really, really incredible stuff there from NASA. So I do want to touch on this one more time too. Obviously, we've had the big storm surge down here. This is going to continue to be a problem for the next several hours. But we're going to start to see, over the next, as the storm crosses Florida and comes back up towards the coast of Georgia and South Carolina, we could see 3 to 5 feet of storm surge up here, which could cause problems. Obviously, 12, 15 feet, that's bad, and we saw what can happen there in Fort Myers with that. Even just 5 feet of storm surge can cause problems up here. So go ahead and prepare if you live in a flood-prone area for that, if you live in Georgia and South Carolina. Yeah, we'll do a full-on future outlook for looking at all the models. I haven't looked at any forecast data today, guys. I have not looked at a single model. I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm not forecasting right now. I'm nowcasting. And what's happening right now is this thing is continuing to tear a path across southwestern Florida. Arcadia is the next kind of major populated area that's going to catch the damage from the storm. Here's another crazy video. Wow, this is from Fort Myers.
Basically rolling down the street feet by feet. You got restaurants rolling down the street feet by feet. Houses going under, boats sinking, boats are coming up through the roofs of their little garages that they had on the canal. It's really crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, definitely evacuating next time.
Did you hear that last line there? Definitely evacuating next time. How many times do you think we'll hear that today? I always, if I lived down there, I would err on the side of caution every single time. And if there was a Category 2 coming, I'd go on a little vacation if I could. And I understand not everybody can, but obviously there are some people who can that choose to stay back. And it's just never a good idea. Never a good idea. Naples, Florida is still experiencing some flooding. I haven't gotten any sort of official update out of there yet. As the storm lets up, there's going to be a plethora of information that flows in. I'll be here to relay that to you. But as of right now, I just don't have anything just yet. Oh, well, never mind. Here's a video from Naples. What is this, inside of a mall? Wow, look at that. This is in Naples, Florida. I believe that's, it's at the bottom of a condo building. So this is a place where people live. The bottom floor of the lobby there,
wow,
a tremendous amount of water rushing in. Now this video was posted 35 minutes ago. I don't know when it was recorded, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about when I'm like, we're going to see a lot more of this as time goes on. The people who are experiencing the worst part of the storm, they're not thinking about uploading to Twitter right now. So, here's a video from the fire department in Naples. I don't know what's going on there, but you can see that even the fire department, despite the water, is still going to try to go out there and do what they do best and help people. But obviously, it's going to be harder for them in a situation like this to get out there. Nightmarish conditions from Fort Myers Beach all the way up to Punta Gorda, but now, thankfully, in the Pineland, Punta Gorda area, all the way up through the downtown Fort Myers area, things are getting a little bit better. Things are starting to calm down a bit, as you can see through a lot of our storm chaser cameras, but things are going to ramp back up after that eye gets passed. So we'll see what happens on the other side of that eye wall as Hurricane Ian continues to try to make landfall. We've got a lot of pictures and videos coming in here. I want to try to share as many of these as possible. It does look like Florida is now 850,000 people are without power in Florida. Once again, getting closer to that million mark. And then this is a tweet from Radar Omega, which I'll show you guys that here in a second. I'm going to add it to my list. And I think we might have a video of those cranes. So I don't know if we captured it falling or not. It doesn't seem like it. It was the very cranes that we were watching in their feeds not too long ago. Once again, sharing all this stuff on Twitter. Here's that update from Radar Omega. It says, wow, this METAR station at the Punta Gorda Airport recorded a wind gust of 124 miles per hour at 3:35 p.m. Eastern as the eye wall of Hurricane Ian moved over the area. So, yeah, once again, retweeting all this if you want to see it up close. Whoa. Whoa. Here's a really interesting video from Alex in Central Florida. Let me show you this one, if I can here. This is from Alex in Central Florida. It says, large tornado minutes ago in Central Florida on a non-tornado warned storm east of St. Cloud, Florida. So this is over here where we saw a bunch of, the tornado warnings earlier. Some of those storms, I guess, are still producing enough rotation to produce a tornado. That was just literally like 15 minutes ago there near St. Cloud, Florida. So this is just another good instance to kind of talk about this part of the storm too. It's not just the 100-mile-an-hour winds down there in and around the eye wall. We're going to see several tornadoes this season, probably all up and down the eastern side of Florida, especially right around Orlando. Okay, so if you are in Orlando, Wedgefield,
oh really? Did they, Tony?
Rockledge, Satellite Beach, all the way
Man,
to Daytona Beach.
I gotta check
this evening, as the storm continues to throw these convective bursts and supercells onto the land. We are going to see
okay, Tony, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
tons of
Appreciate it.
tornadic.
This has been live. I've been live for the last, my other live stream, I had to turn it off and go back live again because I was at my 11 hours and 55 minutes, man.
Weather aware. You got to get ready.
I've been on this one now for almost 3 hours.
Notice on a day like today.
It's on land right now, man. It's been on land for the last hour. I did a video, man. There's a video up, Tony, for my people in Florida, man.
I don't know. Once again, I still don't know. I need a daggone timer that tells me how long I've been going. Pretty sure we've been streaming.
This is the video that I made.
Please leave a comment telling me you guys are okay. Please, this is for all the scratching community, anybody out there that's on my channel that's in Florida.
YouTube kicks us
Man,
off.
the storm is getting worse. And
Oh, shit.
Eastern Standard Time, if you are a part of my channel, scratching community or otherwise, please give me an update on how you guys are doing on this video. Please, I love you all, man. I'm worried about you. There's a lot of people that are worried about you guys. Please, if you can comment on this video to let us know that you are all right, I would appreciate that. We love you guys, and we hope you guys are okay. With whatever part of Florida you're in, or the East Coast you're in, please.
Yeah, but the video didn't upload on their channel yet, either one of their channels. Hey Barbie, how you doing? I'm gonna get this volume back on.
Alright, just absorbing some information here. I want to show this time lapse again down there near Sanibel Island to show how quickly that storm surge came up. Right now, some of the strongest winds are being felt in areas just to the north of Punta Gorda. If you're in Punta Gorda, things are calming down quite significantly. But those 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts and above are being felt widespread now from Northport to areas just south of Arcadia, and that's going to continue to be the case as the storm comes through. The storm is now completely over land, okay? But it is still a massive hurricane. And we've lost the camera again. It's overheating. That might be a sign. That might be a sign to do the break now. Andy, what do you think? Do you think that you could take it for a little bit?
As long as I sound good. My PC just blue screened before this, but I'm all set back up again.
Oh, okay. Well, you take
Hello everybody, man. I gotta get my other live stream up, man. I've been on for the last 17 hours, man. I did fall asleep, guys, man. I'm sorry about falling asleep, but I said that I might fall asleep in my other live, man. I needed to get some sleep, man. I was leaving this running. This has been running all night long. I have not went off unless my live stream went off earlier.
Stand up and stretch my legs and maybe get some water, a little bit of food in me. And we'll be back for several more hours of coverage here on Hurricane Ian. This is meteorologist Andy Hill.
Hi y'all, good to see you. Oh my goodness. Alright, 15 minutes of me. I hope you can put up with me. Let's take a closer look at Hurricane Ian here from the Tampa Bay radar. I'm the one controlling this on Ryan's PC right now, so I've got exciting stuff there. It'll take a while to load, but while we get that in, I'll show you the satellite view, of course. until it loads in, so you have something beautiful to look at. Let me try that again. All right, cool. So, if you don't know who I am, I'm meteorologist Andy Hill. I work with Ryan. He's got 3 meteorologists that we employ, and it's just been phenomenal to work with all of y'all. So, great to see you all in the chat. I see you there. Thank you so much for all your donations to everyone who sent one in. I know we have had no chance.
What's up, Pardon Jane?
It's just impossible. There's so much support.
Yeah, please text her and see if she's alright, guys. I could call hundreds of them again, but I need to be on this live stream for them, guys, man. The eye of the hurricane is completely over land, guys. It is completely on land. Wind gusts of up to 100, over 100 miles an hour. This is at 11, not 11, this is at 4:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3:19 Central Standard Time. If you guys can see, the eye of the storm is right over land, completely over land. Paula, I'm doing okay. I just hope everybody in Florida, man, is doing okay.
People are asking about the black blob out on the east coast of Florida, and that is not a separate tropical system. It is not a separate tropical storm or a hurricane. So a lot of people want to know about that. I can tell you that it's just your garden variety thunderstorm. It is associated with Hurricane Ian, but it is not going to develop into anything else.
You guys can see the eye of the storm is right, all completely over land, man.
So, and it looks like it's going out to sea right now.
Exactly, Paula, thank you.
Storm is going to affect anyone for now. And a lot of people want to know about the future track of Hurricane Ian. I invite you to go to the National Hurricane Center's website. You can search it up super easy. That will give you timestamps for each 12-hour period along the track from expert tropical system forecasters and meteorologists. All right, so any other specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. Go ahead and send them in chat if you'd like to. I will interact with you all as best I can. Ryan's going to be gone for about 10 minutes if you're just now tuning in. Gotta stretch the legs.
Yeah, it's a crazy storm, dude. I've been on for the last 11, no, not 17, the last 14 hours almost straight.
He is just not fazed by sitting here for 7 hours and just going all in on her.
Right now, they just had a live stream, James, and their live stream went off. I got people out there that getting a hold of them. Who was that? That was Tony Barrett was just texted her, Huntress, and it went through. She said it went through. Waiting on a confirmation for her to get back with me on make sure they're okay if she gets back with Huntress.
To show more people this sort of life-saving information if you believe in it.
I haven't been stayed up that long, Harden. I fell asleep a couple times. When I came back up, when I went and woke back up, man, there were people in my live stream.
Tampa's still going to potentially experience some storm surge on the back end of Ian as the wind regime shifts, such that.
All right, prayers for your dad, Barbie.
Rather than going offshore like they are right now.
Prayers for your dad. At the doctor's office.
And then the pictures and videos of how far down the levels have dropped out of Tampa Bay. There's just mud, ships sitting on mud. It's actually amazing. And that is a direct result of winds blowing offshore on the northern side of the hurricane. They're blowing counterclockwise around the center, around the eye of the hurricane.
Right, James, yeah, I remember that.
All right. Thank you.
Guys, I ain't got to go to work till 5 o'clock right now. It's 3:22. I got another hour and a half to be live. So when I go off, man, I love y'all, man. Please keep everybody. I got a video up for the people in Florida, East Coast. If you are on the East Coast, please go watch that video and let me know you're alright. Comment that you're alright so I know you're alright. I'll be checking it while I'm at work. Bro, dude. It's alright, man.
So once it goes up through the Orlando area, exiting of Florida, somewhere around Daytona Beach, as you can see on the satellite there,
I got family, I got blood family in Florida, man. My nephew is in Florida in the Air Force.
They will only be a tropical storm force.
I got a lot of YouTube family there.
That probably is what you'll experience in Orlando and Daytona Beach. However, the problem then is the flooding. Ian's expected to be in inland Florida probably.
Right now there's 100 plus mile an hour winds, wind gusts.
We can see localized rainfall amounts of over a foot. So you're not getting the storm surge like you are on the coast, but you are still getting a foot of rain. And that will definitely cause some major flooding issues, as we've seen from the Weather Prediction Centers issuing a high risk for excessive rainfall today and tomorrow. Let's see if that radar has loaded. Okay, very nice. Okay, so we've got the radar loaded in here. Some of the storm reports that you can see here, Punta Gorda Airport actually gusted to 124 miles an hour, which is where our chasers are. Here you can see all these blue dots.
Gusted to 124 miles an hour, man.
They're still located in Punta Gorda, and Ian's moving so slowly that they are just now kind of entering the eye, still on the sort of the inner eye wall there, and right in the inner eye wall is where this storm is actually been gusting for about 100 miles an hour or greater in the Punta Gorda area for over an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at this point. So even though you may have watched the stream and thought that, oh man, that doesn't look so bad when you're watching the storm chaser cameras, cranes are collapsing, houses are being flooded by storm surge, and so, you know, take it as you would. I wouldn't want to be there myself, so
No,
I
sir.
really hope that everyone who is unable to relocate, actually legitimately unable due to financial reasons, that we're able to help them in some way, via our storm chasers or via the Y'all Squad Fund, perhaps. We would love to be able to do that in the future, in the near future, that is. So, just to recap on Hurricane Ian's eye, it is passing through Punta Gorda currently, and on the back side of this, lay down those small frames. On the back side of this, we'll get some more very strong winds. Actually, I think the strongest winds are probably down here near Cape Coral and all along the eastern edge of Hurricane.
Okay, thank you, Tony Barrett. Thank you for the update. Appreciate it.
And the green to yellow, orange, red here. On the eastern side, you have southerly winds.
Thank you,
because
thank
the
you,
air
thank
flows
you.
counterclockwise around this eye. And Hurricane Ian, in addition to that, is also moving to the northeast towards Arcadia right now. So you're literally getting the winds on the eastern side, both from moving forward and rotating around. It's a summation of wind speed. So the most intense winds are over here, whereas you see the flash flood warning outlined in green on the western edge of Punta Gorda, and that's where the most intense rainfall is occurring right now. So areas of Inglewood, North Port, Venice are currently being just flooded out from all the rain. I mean, that is an intense rain signature in a hurricane's eye wall if I've ever seen one. Yeah, thank you guys all for all of the support. If you're just now watching us, or you're switching over to another tab, keeping us open somewhere.
Thank you, Paula. Appreciate it. Thank you for the update, hon. Appreciate it, Tony and Paula.
And so pray for his stomach, that it actually survives and isn't affected by inhaling food too quickly. He's got to take a break. And that's why I'm here to help. Of course, if you don't know me, I am meteorologist Andy Hill. So I'm here to help. Alright, anything else you guys got? I'm watching the chat still. 110 mile an hour wind gust was recorded from a weather station in Port Charlotte. We've also got the Mesonet, which is a series of local weather stations and instruments all along.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Plenty of those from Naples up north through Bonita Springs to Cape Coral and up north to.
Yeah, yes, for all of them. Yes, yes. Pray for all of them, guys.
There have been plenty of 100 mile per hour plus wind gust reports all along the coast here. So
You see, the wind gusts are up to 100 plus. That's just the wind gust.
Along this area, so well south of Tampa, thankfully, but Tampa is still seeing 50, 60, 70 mile an hour wind gusts, which is not insignificant whatsoever. With such high winds, why is it a slow-moving hurricane? That's a wonderful question, Amy. The hurricane is moving so slowly because how it moves is determined primarily by winds in at every layer of the atmosphere. So you could go 40, 50,000 feet. That's
100.
how tall the
It
storm
says it's the highest it's been is 124 mile an hour wind gust. Is the highest it's been so far. People reported.
Winds up at 50,000 feet aren't actually that strong. They're pretty weak right now, and that is why you see Hurricane Ian moving so slowly, directly because of that.
124, James.
Any chance of vanishing? The storm will deteriorate very quickly while it goes over inland Florida. It's expected to maintain tropical storm force winds, which is about 45 to 60 miles an hour as it moves towards Orlando. So your main concern in the Orlando area and
Just
along
one
the east
time.
coast of Florida, the northeast
Hey,
part
it
of Florida,
happens.
is not the wind
It happens,
speeds,
bro.
but rather the deluge of rainfall that's possible. Yes, I did go to school at the University of North Carolina, Asheville. I'm actually going to turn 25 next month, for those of you all wondering. I know it's every time I come on here. Y'all, thank you for telling me how young I am. I appreciate it every time I see it. You make me laugh. Yes, the current National Hurricane Center forecast actually takes Ian out. Here, let me show you on the satellite here. I wish I could bring it up, but I'm scared to break everything on the screen because I'm currently controlling Ryan's PC. Current forecast actually brings Ian out of northeastern Florida and then recurves it back in again due to those upper level winds that I mentioned.
Oh, for sure, James. For sure. Here too. You guys gotta remember, here in Texas, we have no basements, man. We have no basements in Texas at all, dude. I'm in a fucking trailer. Could you imagine if a hurricane, this trailer was by a fucking hurricane coming through?
To South Carolina and moves inland there. The main problem again in that area will be the rainfall. Okay. Man, I really hope I was able to.
Well, right now they're saying it's up to 100 plus mile an hour wind gusts, Tony.
We didn't go quite 15 minutes there. I think what I'm going to do is about 30 to 45 minutes from now, I might take another brief 10-minute break because my wife talked me into waiting on her to bring me food instead of ordering out. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to keep it going. First of all, everybody say thank you, Andy. Once again, meteorologist Andy Hill always does an amazing job whenever I need to go do whatever it is I need to do, and also just intermittently throughout the entire stream. We value his input, and let's just show some major love in the chat there for...
Yeah, that's like a basement.
We're going to dive
excuse me, a basement.
This coverage, this...
any foundation, any solid foundation. Yeah.
Hurricane Ian that's made landfall here in Florida, causing significant damage.
Yeah, we don't have basements. Our fucking damn houses are fucking built on clay and sand, dude.
We have a tornado watch for the eastern side.
Clay and sand, bro.
Where a few tornadoes are possible, isolated gusts up to 60 miles an hour are possible, and that is going to impact an area that includes almost 4 million people. 146 schools and 47 hospitals are included in that tornado watch. So Hurricane Ian is, causing a lot of problems down here around the main core of the storm.
You live in a double wide, I live in a single wide. So I know what you're talking about, Paula.
Promote tornadoes in situations like this.
I live in a fucking trailer, man. You guys have seen my trailer. I've showed you what it looked like.
Who are, for the most part, all located inside of the eye.
James, this sure does get hot in here. Like right now, I just had to turn the air conditioner on because it was so hot in here. It's so hot in here.
Start to deteriorate once again once the other side of the storm makes it to them. Now, how long is that going to take? I really don't know. It took so long for the
new tornado watch has
over
been
them. How long it's going to take for the other side to come through? Who knows? It just depends on how much the storm speeds up and the direction that it ends up going. Right now, it's kind of floating off to the north and east at a very slow speed.
A new tornado watch has been issued.
A couple, 30 minutes, an hour or so, you might start seeing things start to go back downhill where they are. Thanks to everybody who's showing all the love in the chat. You guys are awesome. You make this super rewarding. I think one of the cool things about what we're doing is, we're doing the weather, right? I'm just literally, telling you, me and Andy are giving you our opinions and our ideas about what's going on based off what we're seeing on radar and satellite and through storm chasers and stuff. But being able to interact with the people live while it's happening is just on the next level. And I think it's awesome that we have such a supportive group of people that hang out in the chat there. And also, super huge shout out to the moderators today, because apparently we peaked out at 100,000 people watching for a while there. And I know that probably was hard to manage for a little while, but they do an amazing job. So big shout out to the moderators and everybody that's involved with what we're doing here. More videos and pictures from the Fort Myers area continue to show flooding. It looks like the flooding is still ongoing, especially at Fort Myers Beach. But Naples and Bonita Springs, the flooding was ongoing there for a while. I haven't got an update from there as to what the current condition is, but I'm sure that the conditions are not completely reversed away from the flooding that we were seeing earlier. So things are still looking bad out there in a lot of places. We're going to start to see a lot more videos and pictures coming in of probably the wind damage now that we're in the eye and all of our storm chasers are kind of driving around out there. But for the most part, things are just looking like this in Inglewood, for example. This is Category 4 Hurricane Ian. There was the end result of what happened in Inglewood. But remember, it's not over in Inglewood. In fact, we still got quite a ways to go.
Who are you talking about? Me, James? Yeah, my trailer is a house, not a trailer park. No, I'm in a house.
It's going to be several hours before we're completely finished with what's going on there. Another one, this is a Pine Island. So this is where the storm chaser Reed Timmer was, and his car got washed away. And you can see the video there of storm surge and strong Category 4 winds as it was making landfall, of all that water just kind of rushing over through the streets, and the roads turned into rivers for a moment in time as the storm made landfall. We're continuing to see big-time wind gust reports coming out of areas north of Punta Gorda. Once again, I really do think Arcadia and a lot of these places are going to be getting in on those 100-mile-an-hour plus gusts pretty soon. So get ready. If you haven't started seeing those yet, it's going to happen soon. And we got another update from Brandon Kopic, so let's check that out.
From the eyewall hurricane, we have 2 of the 4 drills have collapsed already. 2. Number 3 is right behind me. We're watching how closely it may go at any time. It's got this eye wall, the rear eye wall. First chaser training.
Okay. So like Brandon said, there's a lot of things that are not necessarily completely, there's a lot of damage, but there's some things that are on the verge of being...
What part of Iowa were you in, James?
...or destroyed, like a lot of those cranes that the job could be finished with the rear eye wall as it comes in during the next part of the storm. So we'll see what happens.
The eye of the storm is completely on land, man. Please, if you are in Florida and you see this or you're watching, please go get to higher ground, man.
We got a lot of people watching in Tampa. We got a lot of people watching in Sebring and Palm Bay and all these places. This storm's coming for you too. Thankfully, it's not going to be as. Hopefully, it's not going to be as bad.
I don't know if mine's a double wide. Let me go ask her.
In terms of storm surge and wind, but there are other aspects to the storm that could end up being bad. So we're going to stick with you guys until we are no longer needed, or until YouTube boots us off, which I believe is at around 11 or 12 hours. Let's see. We're getting a lot of good comments into. We've got Robert Williams who's saying, "Hey Ryan, I just want to let you know we're in Okeechobee, Florida, and I just want to say that we are getting more and better information from you than any of the other networks." That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I think the reason it's better, I think the reason people perceive it as better is not. I don't think my graphics. I don't think the way that it's presented is necessarily better. It's just better because it's there. There's no buffer, right? There's no. The information comes to me. It comes to you. I regurgitate it in a way that's easy to understand, and we don't have to wait on a producer to give you a thumbs up. We don't have to talk to corporate. We don't have to check with our sponsors and make sure, you know, like everything it's just a rapid fire, display of information put together by a bunch of people who are really passionate about the subject. My whole life has revolved around weather since the beginning of it, pretty much. Andy is also a big weather fanatic. All of our storm chasers are all obviously, super interested and passionate about weather and communicating with people. So it's a really good system that works out here. Absolutely don't want to throw any shade on the TV networks, because what they do is also a monumental effort, and there's a lot that goes into that. But yeah, there's a couple more graphics I want to show you here, if I can find them. Everything's moving so fast. Everything's moving so fast. It's hard for me to keep up with everything as I try to relay all the pictures and videos that are coming in. More from Fort Myers, and I do believe that this is starting to go down a little bit. Some of the highest storm surge was in Fort Myers Beach, past tense.
No, I'm not sleeping, Mr. Night Scratcher. I'm awake, brother. Hi, y'all, man. I just had to go step out for a minute. No, mine is a single wide, James. Mine's a regular trailer. Des Moines, Iowa. I know where that's at. I know where Des Moines, Iowa is. It's on the border of Illinois and Iowa. You go across the river. It's the casino on the river.
This thing's trying to go a little bit more north. So it's on land now, so it really doesn't matter too much. But I'm still
bro, look at him.
How this thing is wobbling and how exactly this is going to play out. But it does look like it's trying to move a little bit faster and a little bit to the north. So that means that those really strong damaging winds are going to be in Arcadia a little bit quicker. And maybe it's going to get across the state faster, meaning that it might have the opportunity to get back into the Atlantic and try to not ever become what it was, but a stronger storm as it approaches portions of the southeast coast of the U.S. Look at how different the cameras look compared to how they did just, an hour ago. These guys are in the eye of the storm. You can see that the wind's still blowing, but barely. As
Des Moines is like 4 hours from you?
Of the low pressure center as the storm is passing through. Let's get an update from some of our storm chasers, by the way. Start with Chris. Chris, we just want an update from you. Is this your first hurricane that you've chased? And if so, tell us.
Oh, that's cool, bro. A keychain from every U.S. state.
How it's been different versus what you thought it would be like. I think this is Chris.
Yes, it is my first one, and it's been a good one to document. I'm telling you, there's a lot of damage down here in Gunta. I can never pronounce this name, and I never will. It's exactly what I expected. You know, really wet and really windy. Nothing really different. Just a lot of adrenaline goes into it as well. So you've got to be safe. So we hunkered down at that gas station for a while, and now we're back on the road to try to get farther south and access some of the damage as well.
All right, sounds good. Once again, storm chaser Chris Hall. He's from Kentucky, but he's not my brother. A lot of people ask that, but he's still a part of the y'all team there. And let's get an update from somebody else too. Let's go for Brad. Brad, once again, just making the rounds.
I got you, James. Those motherfuckers are not cheap. Yeah, you're right.
From here. And what are you seeing out there? What is it looking like? Tell us the sights and sounds. Like going through it and getting updates.
Hey Ryan, we actually are leaving, where were we at? Punta Gorda, and we are heading down to Fort Myers to at least try to get in. I don't know what the situation is down there. It looks like there's a lot of water. I do know there's some parking decks down here that we get to, so we're going to try to test that out and see what we can do. We're on our way to get there. We're traveling through the eye right now.
All right, sounds good. Vince, it's been a second since we've heard from you. I had some technical difficulties, so I had to step away for a second. But we're interested in hearing what your plan is from here on out and how you're going to chase the rest of the...
Dang, $20. I was thinking like $10, James. 10, 15 bucks at the most.
Welty, giving us an update if you can come back to me here.
No, it's nowhere near me, dude. Bubbles RC. It's on Florida. It's hitting Florida.
Unbelievable, honestly, at this point, how much.
Guys, I'm going to be on for
I
another
think we tried to receive something.
45 minutes.
Didn't go through.
I'm going to be on for another 45, 50 minutes, guys. Then I got to get off and get ready for work.
Storm chasers. Like this is, we're still getting HD, high quality video from these guys, and they are literally in the eye of a huge hurricane. So,
Yeah, for sure, James. They really do. They really do.
For the most part, it's all right for now.
I believe that,
So
dude.
We'll see what happens with that. Once again, we got a whole nother side of the hurricane to go through down here. And if we got anybody living in Arcadia, you're starting to see those winds really start to pick up, and it's only going to get more intense over the next hour. Same thing can be said for LaBelle, Venus, Palmdale, and of course Verna. So make sure you're hunkering down. It's going to be slow. It's a slow approach. This storm is moving slow, but it's definitely going to be there before too long. And the storm is weakening overall.
Oh, I'm staying on right now, James. I'm going to stay on for right now.
Major bullets.
I'm staying on for right now. It's just that I'm just letting y'all know how much more time I got before I got to go get ready.
Let's watch. Let's actually see the.
For sure it is, man. For sure it is, man. I was caught in a tornado, man, almost. The tornado almost got me, man.
What that looked like as it was coming in, and to now you can see that the eyes trying to close up. You can see that those convective bursts, those big areas of dark, high cloud tops are going away, and this is exactly what we expected would happen as the storm came onto Florida. This happening, however, does not take away from the fact that this is still going to have major impacts in the form of rain and potential tornadoes and continued.
Oh yeah, they're there.
Up through the rest of the storm system. Right now, it's still a Category 3, more than likely 120 mile an hour winds, 150 mile an hour gusts here and there. We're going to see that drop off pretty quickly. By the time it gets to Orlando, we'll see wind speeds around 70 miles an hour and 85 mile an hour wind gusts. And then by the time it gets off the shore there near Daytona Beach, 65 mile an hour wind gusts and 65 mile an hour sustained winds and 75 mile an hour wind gusts. So that's what's going on with our storm. Watch it. It's going to go out into the Atlantic and then might try to pick up some steam.
You too, Mr. Nice Scratcher. Appreciate you for stopping by, brother. Appreciate it, man.
And gusty winds to Savannah and Charleston. But for now, I don't think that we've got anything too crazy to worry about up here. It's definitely going to be a storm. It's definitely going to be something that...
Oh, for sure, dude. I got an aunt. That goes down in the wintertime.
But there's no reason to assume...
To Florida, from Chicago. She goes down every year. She's got a summer home, man. She ain't going to have nothing left of that summer. Actually, you know what? Now that I said that, I got to try to get a hold of my aunt.
A yacht club in Cape Coral, so on the southeastern side of the eye wall. Had a Weatherston station, so I did some research, and Weatherston makes some pretty quality weather stations, reporting a 130 up to 135 mile per hour gust possible there.
Oh wow. So we're once again, like I've been saying, guys, we're going to learn about what happened, even though we
dude, I don't know what part of fucking Florida was in, dude. I honestly don't, and I'm pretty sure I'll have to ask my mom. But she goes down every summer, dude, and she's been sick lately. So I don't know if she was in Florida at this time, but I hope to God she was not. Because she's in her 80s, 70s, 80s.
I'm just going to read this off here. Straight from the sheriff's office 20 minutes ago. Here's some tough news you need to know. We aren't holding back. We are in call triage mode. We are getting a significant number of calls of people who are trapped by water in their homes. Some are reporting life-threatening medical emergencies in deep water. We will get to them first. Some are reporting water coming into their house, but not life-threatening. They will have to wait.
They're in Ruskin?
Possibly until the water resides.
Oh, dude, I am. As soon as I can get this,
Sorry. Lee County.
I can get on Facebook, man, because all my family's on Facebook.
To our center, and you can't even imagine those calls. Don't call 911 unless it's an emergency. We all have the Collier courage, and we're going to get through this. So a really dark update from the Collier County Sheriff's Office there, where it sounds like they are having a hard time keeping up with some of the rescue operations.
Michael Hauser, what's up, brother?
Here now that the storms made landfall, and we're learning exactly what happened down there, where some of the worst impacts.
This is the link that you gave me, Mike.
So once again, that is that's really unfortunate, and I believe that was on their Facebook, the Collier County Facebook page is where that came from, or their Twitter. Yeah, and also I want to make sure, I try to say it, I think 8 out of 10 times that I say Fort Myers Beach, I only say Fort Myers. Anytime that I talk about significant damage in Fort Myers, I'm specifically talking about the Fort Myers Beach area. I think there was widespread wind damage and stuff in the Fort Myers downtown greater area, but where all this flooding is happening, where we've been showing those videos, that's the Fort Myers Beach area, and I'm sorry for leaving off the beach portion a time or two here and there. Let's see here. Ian makes landfall. So Ian officially has made landfall, and we're continuing to track this thing as it goes farther into Florida. We're starting to see some of those really heavy rain bands moving into Tampa and Orlando. Some of the strongest winds moving into Arcadia. And the storm surge should be letting up for just about everybody that was experiencing it. After several hours of dealing with this, you can imagine that that's going to be a welcomed thing.
Look at that water. And that's in an apartment, dude.
In Fort Myers Beach, specifically. And Naples. This is in Naples. A lot of the first level of these buildings, whether it was homes, houses, condos, hotels, were completely inundated by water, and on top of that, we've got the waves that are doing damage to the glass and stuff like that. So as the water goes down, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of updates about the extent of the damage that came as a result of that. Major hurricane makes landfall in Florida today, and I think that for the most part, the worst of this storm is for the most part over. But we still got several hours of some.
I can't remember, Tony, if he lives on a lower or upper. I can't remember, but I do know he lives with his roommate.
I do want to kind of celebrate and be like, okay, we're over, like we're past the worst part. But I also want to make sure that I'm continually, effectively communicating the risks to the people downstream. Just because it's over for where it made landfall, for the most part, don't get me wrong, it's still going to, the other side of the eye's got to come through, and it's going to get raunchy again. But just because it's over for somebody doesn't mean that it's over for you. So we're going to continue to track this until it's over for everybody, pretty much. Latest update from power outages. Looks like we are officially over 1 million.
1 million customers without fucking electric. Do you see that? This was updated on 9/28/2020 at 3:44 p.m. Customer tracked 11 million customers out of electric, 1,079,004.
Right in here will end up red too before the night's over, as the hurricane force wind gusts are going to continue for quite some time as the storm treks across Florida. Latest look at the radar still shows an eye on radar, but as far as satellite goes, it's really starting to close up. But all of our storm chasers, for the most part, are inside of that eye and experiencing a break in the storm, which is great. But once again, as soon as the other side comes through, we're going to get right back into those hurricane force wind gusts.
Hope so,
and more
Tony.
damage is likely to be done as the storm goes up to pretty much north.
Whoa, really? the fuck?
Long duration of time, that's going to lead to flooding. Whether it's coming from the ocean or not, that's going to be a pretty bad situation over there. So if you live in a flood-prone area, get rid
Let
of
me see if
shelter
anybody else
higher
commented on my
ground, or
video.
the winds are still gusting at 100 miles an hour, which they likely are in the North Port area. A lower, more substantial shelter that is kind of tucked away from any flooding concerns. Got an update from Lee County. Lee County's got
Still
a
nobody else
boil water
commented.
notice. Lee County Utilities has issued a system-wide boil water notice effective immediately for all customers due to storm impacts. Visit legov.com/storm for more information. That was a weird one. So yeah, boil water advisory for pretty much everybody from Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Buckingham, Gateway, all these places. And that's obviously, we're going to see more problems arise with the overall infrastructure. We're going to start to see what happened there. It's not just power, and in a lot of situations.
You're live again?
it's
Okay.
all of them.
On whose channel?
Parts of them that are going to have to be repaired. So just make sure you're.
So am I. I'm going over there now.
Officials and what they're saying to do about stuff like that.
I can go back to my nest
Yeah,
on the
this
couch.
is more crazy video from Naples, Florida earlier of houses floating down the streets as the storm surge came in. Still, I've yet to see any aftermath photos and videos from Naples, and I'm sure those are coming. And I'm not looking forward to it. I do think we're going to see some pretty unfortunate stuff as an end result of what happened here. Once again, this reminds me of a lot of videos that I've seen of Sea Island. Like, I mean, this is what it looks like. So, of course, the aftermath of those are often terrible. So, once again, I do want to say that we have a tornado watch. I want to reiterate this. For the eastern side of Florida, so even though you're not getting hit by the landfalling hurricane, you are under a tornado watch, and that's going through Orlando, Sanford, Daytona Beach, Palm Bay, and Stewart. So if a tornado warning comes through, make sure you know what you're going to do. Go ahead and have a plan in place to get you and your family to shelter as quickly as possible. That's what it's all about. On days like today, we really take the weather seriously, and we want to, we kind of want to treat Mother Nature with a little bit more respect than usual. A lot of Floridians, still in my interactions with them so far, and rightfully so, because you guys go through some of the craziest weather, and come out unscathed, but a lot of the attitude is like, oh, another storm will be all right. Every once in a while, you gotta not have that attitude, and just kind of
D-Man, no, and we tried reaching out to, oh my God.
do the more precautionary things.
God, Bobby's gonna die. Just, you have to fix up this. This is what fear does to y'all.
Once again, I'm going to show this
You're
this
too
time
much
out.
and no sleep.
It's really telling of what we saw in a lot of these places.
He is like a little kid.
Hundreds of thousands of people who live in communities who saw similar
Stop! Bobby's gonna get us killed.
So depending on how many,
I'm just saying.
depending on how many people evacuated, this is probably going to turn into a big-time search and rescue effort. If we have a lot of people staying behind, especially in Naples and Fort Myers, this is going to turn into probably a multi-day search and rescue effort, which I'm sure some of our storm chasers will stay behind in. Vince and Brandon specifically typically are pretty good with that kind of stuff. And the full resources of the Ryan Hall Y'all Enterprise, or whatever it is, are going to be available to anybody that needs help. So if you need to get into the Y'all Fund, we mentioned, thanks to you guys, there's like we got like tens of thousands of dollars we can just help people with. If we can find somebody that needs help, or if we can find some really impactful way to use that cash, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure it gets to the right people, and we do the right things with it. And Sir Jensen and Brandon, or some of our storm chasers will assist in us being able to do that. Thanks to everybody who's shown support in any way, whether it's the merch site or becoming a member here on the channel. You allow us to do that. Let's see.
15 hours straight?
A lot of this video that I'm seeing that's coming out of this area, a lot of it is, it looks similar, like it's just bad. It's bad in Fort Myers, it's bad in Florida, Naples, and like it's just streets full of water and cars and houses floating down. That's a lot of what I'm seeing right now. I'm trying to find new and unique information that maybe we haven't touched on a lot, but that's pretty much the extent of it. That's what's happening. Here's the latest EPS model ensembles. Let's talk about the future of this one a little bit more. And as you can see, it's going to come up from where it is right now, go across Florida, come out into the Atlantic Ocean, and then recurve back towards Georgia and South Carolina. I want to let you guys know, though, in Georgia and South Carolina, this is not going to be a Category 4 storm whenever it gets to this, okay? This is not going to be a repeat. It's not going to be the same here as it's going to be here. The peninsula of Florida, so it'll weaken the storm significantly, and then it might try to strengthen back up a little bit before it makes landfall, but...
This is Brad. You copy?
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Trying to get down to Fort Myers and too much storm surge already coming up.
Okay, so Brad, Arnold, too much storm surge to get to Fort Myers even at this point, so they had to turn around. And obviously, we're going to stick with these guys until they're done. We'll follow them around all day. I don't know what everyone's plan is. Some of these guys are probably going to stay there around the Punta Gorda region and get ready for the next half of the storm, the secondary part, the rear eye wall to come through. And then probably a lot of, or what I would do is probably try to go south a little bit. But of course, if we're seeing that much storm surge, that might not be an option unless you were to go over and get on the interstate and go down, which that might take enough time to where you get caught back in the storm before you even got to Fort Myers. So we're going to stick with them, and we're going to let them do what they do best as they continue to be our eyes and ears on the ground in one of the most dangerous situations you could ever possibly be in a high-end Category 4 hurricane. The fact that somebody is really, doing that is a thing in itself. But that's why I respect storm chasers so much. I'm so glad that we have them. They're crazy good people, but we are very lucky to have them on our side, because a lot of times in the severe weather warning process, they are the number one reason why we're able to effectively get that warning out in a situation where technology and radar and all that doesn't
I'll briefly be off for a minute. We're seeing these mobile home parks, making sure everybody's all right.
All right. So we're once again, Brandon's already there at a mobile home park. Looks like there's some significant damage that's been done here, and Brandon's going to go through and check on everybody there. So that's awesome. Make sure you give us an update whenever you get back there. So we'll hear from him whenever he figures out what's going on out there.
Yeah, if you want to talk to them, I don't know if he came in here at all. There's some pretty bad damage in here, but can't work here. not many people over here, but I didn't know if you went through yet or not. I just saw him nearby.
All right. So, there's a couple more graphics of those I want to show you before we move back into looking at the radar and satellites specifically. First of all, of course, I already showed this one, but we are at over 1 million people. Over 1 million people are without power in Florida. We have a boil water advisory in Lee County. The Fort Myers is included in that. And then it sounds like Collier County is experiencing some really bad situations. As we got an update directly from the police department there that said that their 911 center was getting overrun with calls. People are trapped inside of their homes. The people who are in the most danger, that are about to literally, die, those are the ones that are going to have to go for it first. But if you're kind of stuck in your home and it's non-life-threatening flooding, you'll just have to wait until the water goes down before anybody's going to be able to come for you. That's how many calls the police department there in Collier County is getting. So it's definitely turning out to be, pretty much the worst case scenario, like we thought it was going to be. And it's my job now is going to be to not only do the forecast and talk about the future and what's going to happen with the storm and what's going on right now, but to start to try to relay some of the news of what happened back there during landfall. Because, when this thing was making landfall, we had a lot of people watching, and a lot of those people probably are just family members and friends, and people who have loved ones in, these areas, and they just want to know what's going on down there. So I'm going to do my best to get that information to you as efficiently as possible. And thanks, I'm trying to look through chat every once in a while and see if there's little things that I can touch on. Thanks for all the support. I see all the love. I see all the support. I'm tickled to death that you guys are happy with what we're doing here. And just thanks for all the positivity. You don't have to thank me, though. I went through this yesterday. I would be here no matter what. It doesn't matter if anybody's watching. This is what I love to do. And thank you for giving me a reason to do it. Thank you very much. I am going to look through chat just a little bit more. Let's see here.
This motherfucker was just like I said I was going to do.
What about Orlando? So Orlando is going to probably
because of the looters, yeah, you're right, James. Yeah, you're right.
Of low pressure with the storm, like the storm, the tropical storm more than likely, is going to go right over it in Orlando. So the storm's going to weaken significantly, and you're going to be hit by it in Orlando probably tonight into the early morning hours tomorrow with 50, 60, 70 mile an hour winds. Okay, we're not going to see any 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts like we did on the coast.
Oh my God!
It's going to be an impactful storm. We'll probably see some isolated power outages. And the number one thing for me, if I was in Orlando, the number one thing I would be paying attention to is that tornado watch. You still got a bunch of storms floating around you that could produce tornadoes, and that's happening now. That's not even later tonight. So if I'm in Orlando, I'm watching out for that. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying my best here, but it's hard to focus on the chat when it's moving, and also like a lot of it is. Hey, I'm not seeing a lot of questions. Anna said, "Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for the support." Kelly said, "I appreciate all you do." I appreciate that. I just thank you so much. Show us a 3D model. What are you looking at? So a lot of people are asking about the software we use. This is Radar Omega. Okay, this is Radar Omega. It's I'm using it on the computer, but I also got it on my phone and my tablet. But this is what we've been looking at pretty much all day here. And if you guys want to look at another vantage point of the storm that you really can't get anywhere else, we can look at the height of these cloud tops by pulling this into 3D mode. And really
you heard from Teddy? Okay, cool. Hey, if you talk to him again, Susan, let him know to comment on my video, man. I got a video up for people to comment on.
This one went from really tall, and now some cloudtops are getting a little bit lower to the surface, and that's a sign that the storm overall is weakening, which is to be expected whenever.
Thank you, Susan, for letting me know.
It's really incredible to have this ability to kind of zoom around and look at this in 3D, because even though just looking at it from the top down like this, you can tell what's going on through the colors, but this really puts it into perspective and allows you to understand more what the colors mean and exactly what those kinds
Thank you, I appreciate
what
it.
those darker colors represent. It's just basically the strength of the storm overall. We could look down into the eye here. It's closed off now, but you get a really interesting vantage point right here at landfall. You can see down into it, and you can see how right when it got to where our storm cases are, it kind of lets up. It kind of closes up. Right before it got to where Brandon and those guys are, it just closes up. So that's why we didn't get the stadium effect, I guess, from Hurricane Ian as it went over our chasers.
I just wanted to experience about 7
Deb says, thank you for all that you do. It's so important to so many. Thank you, Deb. Mockingbird said, Ryan, I don't know if you'll see this. Fort Myers Beach is not an area in Fort Myers. They're two separate cities separated by a few miles. Conditions are very different as a result. Well, I'm sorry if I said anything that made you think otherwise, but I do know that. We've been trying actually to find out more information about downtown Fort Myers because our storm cases are trying to get there to maybe be at an access point that could get them to Fort Myers Beach, just in case some of them need to get down there to help. But I think a couple times I have slipped up and referred to for Fort Myers Beach as Fort Myers, so I'm sorry about that. Claude says, thanks for the best coverage out of Central Florida. Curtis says, thank you very much. I appreciate all the support, guys. What's the difference between wind gusts and wind speeds? Wind gusts are, imagine you're outside in a hurricane, okay? You get hit by a real strong gust of wind, a burst of wind. That's wind gusts. That's what we're talking about. Maybe there was some instances where there could have been close to 150, 160 miles per hour as it was coming into Florida. But when the gust stops and the wind lets down and you've got that stabilized overall average speed of the wind, that's what the wind speeds are. So if winds are 70 miles an hour and gusting to 100, then they're 70 miles an hour all the time and just intermittently 100.
That was on point. Like, seriously.
How is Sarasota?
I'm good.
How is Sarasota? Sarasota, as far as I know, is still, experiencing some of the really strong winds. It looks to me like Sarasota's going to get missed by the really intense